Alrighty, folks, welcome on in to the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live. How is everybody doing this morning? We've got, you need to tell Vio to start rooting for Argentina. I know, like, I had a pretty good World Cup prediction year, except for Argentina. Because I hated Argentina so much, I let my bias, you know, I mean, honestly, they should have lost. I should have been right. They should have lost to Egypt. All right. The Egypt game was stolen. Can we all admit it? Can we all admit that I would have been completely correct about the entire World Cup had Egypt game not been stolen? I mean, like, come on. See these fucking studs? Agitation, dirty play. Let's not forget that racist piece of shit player. Also, Argentina just sucks. Fuck Argentina. And fuck everyone who lives there. Especially, speaking of fuck people in Argentina, I had a funny post while I was puttering around this morning before stream, which was every unhinged Hassan hater has a video of them absolutely cheesing while talking to him. Destiny, Gila, Ethan, BE, etc. So fucking funny, dude.
By the way,
look at how he's fucking blushing. He's fucking blushing, dude. He's like, how do you put it? Cheesing is like smiling, like really goofily, like you would for a picture in elementary school, you know? And somebody's like, say cheese, and you're like, you know, you're doing that big smile, you're beaming. So that's cheesing. It's like you're really happy. It's like a fully happy, engaged, authentic smile where you're like, you're so happy that you're just like, you're so in the moment, you've lost any sense of like self-consciousness. You're just so happy. So that's cheesing. And here's see if I'm right.
Are you a Cypriot, by the way?
Are you asking this because of Drew Pavlou?
Are you a Cypriot Australian?
As far as I know, no.
What is
like he doesn't even know how to smile. He does like he's such an antisocial weirdo that he doesn't know how to smile. Like it's so weird for him, but he can't help himself. He's just so happy to be in Hassan's presence. And here's the thing. Hassan is also, you know, he's talking about Cypriot. He's talking about basically dominating him in a certain way. It's like he's talking about, you know, the Ottoman Empire, kind of like, you know, the way that a lot of these Greeks were subjugated and dominated. So it's really a joke about Hassan dominating BE, you know? Anyway, let's keep going.
What is your,
I don't know
what's
much
your
about
ethnic
my Greece
background?
family history.
What's your ethnic background?
Greek something? Why are you asking?
What kind of Greek?
Greek Italian.
Oh, what? No. Which islands?
As far as I know, Anatolia and then Athens.
Okay. So you're not Cypriot.
What are you asking?
Like Drew
Yeah, you know
Pavlov.
what your people did to us in Anatolia. What did you do?
Am I unlocking epigenetic memories right now?
Yeah, right. I have intergenerational trauma, just like the Israelis. That's why they get to do genocide. So I get to do genocide too. And you're Turkish, so you
should come to America.
Yeah. Are you a Cypriot, by the way?
Are you asking this because of Drew Pavlou?
Are you a Cypriot Australian?
As far as I know, no.
What is your?
I don't know
what's your
much about
ethnic
my Greece
background?
family history.
What's your ethnic background?
Greek something? Why are you asking?
All right, sorry. We're just having fun with that. Oh God. And it's so funny because like whenever these people are in Hassan's presence, right? They're so in love. They're so fucking in love. And then Hassan does something where, you know, he just does his own thing. He's not enamored with them in the same way that they're enamored with him, or he's more successful or whatever, or he doesn't take something they say seriously, and then they snap like a spurned lover, you know? Mike, the air quality is so bad here in Detroit that spending one day out is the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes. If you live here, please wear an N95 and avoid going out at all. Yeah, I know. Do you fall in love around him? I'm not a parasocial Andy. I just talk to people, you know, like that's it, in the same exact kind of way. I'm just normal around people, right? Like or autistic, you know, maybe it's not normal to be normal around people. I don't know. Chicago area 2, the air is thick with smoke. Oh God, dude, that's horrible. Yo, bro, what's up? What's up, Emma? What's up? Emma123. Oh no, it's a fake account. How is Emma12? Oh, it's Emma123F. Emma123F. Damn, we got a bot. Anyway, what was I saying? So what are we talking about today? Well, missiles are raining down on US bases in the Middle East. There was a hilarious video about people who watch Hassan. And comparing that to the people that watch Asmongold may be the most comical thing of all time. Abdul, a new poll came out showing Abdul El Sayed up by 13. Yeah. Poll finds Michigan Democratic primary voters favor Dr. Abdul El Sayed 54 in a head-to-head contest with Rep. Haley Stevens by 13 points. 5% of voters remain undecided. El Sayed has a net favorability of plus 52, with 69% of voters having a favorable opinion of him, 17% viewing him unfavorably, and 14 not having heard enough to say. Stevens has a net favorability rating of 22, with 55% viewing her favorably, 33% viewing her unfavorably, and 12 not having heard enough to say. APAC is toxic to Michigan Democratic primary voters with a net 46 favorability rating. 53 view the organization unfavorably versus just 7% who view it favorably. 78% say they would be less likely to vote for a U.S. Senate candidate who accepts endorsements and or financial backing of pro-Israel organizations such as APAC, while only 8% say such support would make them more likely to vote for a candidate. Can you imagine if DSA was that unpopular? Can you imagine if DSA was that unpopular? 7%. Those 7% are all on Twitter. That's because they're not people from Michigan, man. It's like the international network of pro-Israel propagandists. You know what I mean? Like, they're not actually human beings. They're certainly not in Michigan. As the strongest plane knower in streaming, how deaf is everyone on this beach from Pegset's PR disaster? This is incredibly dangerous. I would say, like, the thing about, first of all, plays probably a little bit higher than it looks, but jet engines are really loud. Oh, look at that, chat. We got a morning hype train. Hell yeah. Thank you, everybody, for resubscribing. You guys are the best. Cosmos, thank you for the tier 3 for 60 months. Can we get a bended knee for Cosmos 84 for a tier 3 and the Order of Romeo? Did you guys say thank you to Cosmos 84 for being a mod as well? Did you guys chat and say thank you? Cosmos 84, the queen of Twitch. Let's see here. Thank you everybody for resubscribing. Who else deserves special call out? Gas Station Croissant is getting close to Order of Romeo too. Get a grip. Thank you for the 5 gifted. You're the best. All right. Morning hype train. That's what we like to see. So this is not good for you. Listen, I'm not a Blue Angels enjoyer. I prefer, I'm not a fan of the F-18. Get it out. Get it out. Don't like it. No, I'm kidding. Just doing some inter-service rivalry, okay? I have permanent hearing damage from working around jet engines and APUs. Damn, man. Gotta wear that ear protection 100% of the time. Mike, I have a question. What happens after all the corporate money is spent and Steven still loses? Do they go back to the drawing board or they start spending less? The answer is panic. The answer is panic, right? Like, here's the thing about elections in the media. The establishment controls the media. So part of what they believe is that you have to make your world real by lying, all right? They believe that you can make reality by trying to force it as a consensus socially. And they've had a lot of success with that, right? Manufacturing consent. By telling people what the outcome is, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The problem is mainstream media, just no one pays attention to it. When's the last time? I mean, I don't really sit down and watch the evening news, right? I don't sit down and watch 60 Minutes. I used to do that. And I know I'm not alone. Like, I still read articles. I still read the broadsheets. I still, I'll look up videos and stuff. I'll go to websites, but I don't sit down and watch the news anymore. I just don't. And their ability to kind of like, and cable news is a lot less important for the next generation. So their ability to kind of like manufacture reality it's not happening. It's really been lost. And people like myself or Hassan or a lot of other content creators, political commentators are out there who are successfully kind of altering the ways that people engage with politics. It's no longer like, hey, we've got like 5 networks and we can put television ads on them, and then they have the newspaper and we could control the publisher of the newspaper, we could control the newsroom at the local news station, or we control, you know, national networks, and therefore no other arguments are being heard. Just not the way it works anymore. And the people are disgusted with the establishment, and they have just not caught up. And the problem is neither has DSA. This is the crisis, right? Like, nobody's caught up to this, right? I was right. Like, immediately, I told you guys more than a year ago, the vibe has shifted. We're going to win, blah, 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 blah. You know, I had Fran on my stream 8 months ago, and how many views did that get? You know, I mean, it was like a low stream day, like low viewership stream day. It was a poorly performing YouTube video, but now she's going to win Wisconsin governor primary. You know what I mean? Like, we are winning shit that we never thought we could. We're winning shit that's like way out there. Zoran winning was a crazy thing. Daria Lisa winning was a crazy thing. Mylot winning was a crazy thing. Like, those were way fucking nuts to believe that was possible. Had we shot for more, we would have won more. And here's the thing that bothers me. It doesn't seem like DSA leadership is grasping the sea change. It doesn't. That's the kind of crisis that we're in. It doesn't feel like people are really grasping the opportunity. Like, it's happening and they're like smiling and happy about it and beating their chest, but they're not changing to take advantage of it. It's maddening. Another Mike was right. Oh, what happened now? Fetterman warns he would leave the Democratic Party if it turns its back on Israel. Yeah, Fetterman's already a Republican. He's already a Republican. Like, by the way, he's out of the Democrats no matter what anyway. Cooking stream with Vio, I feel like that's the biggest epic no-brainer content. Okay. Here we are over a year ago. I don't know. I feel like we're going to win. I don't know why. You know, clip this in a year or two, and maybe I'm just crazy. But it, honest to God, feels like we're going to win. I could just feel the energy, and I could feel the way that people are turning away from corporate media, which was the last way that Democrats could control their base. And it feels like people are finally just turning away from it in a really fundamental way. It feels like we're gonna win. And like, I show you this because it's like, not because I'm trying to get you to pat me on the back, although feel free to pat me on the back. It's about, okay, now that we know this is happening, can we take advantage, right? And this is where this is the thing that's crazy, is it's like, and then Abdul winning big in new poll. And this poll, by the way, the poll that's being put out by Data for Progress, this is a poll that is using modern techniques, okay? It's not doing like, oh yeah, we did like kind of phones, like the poll that was showing Stevens ahead, you know, that had like an incredibly old voting base. This is a poll that's actually using modern techniques. It has like a more reasonable likely voter model than 2022 or whatever the fuck. And it shows the reality, which is even after 50 million fucking dollars, Stevens is incredibly unpopular. Milot's win is making our millionaire governor crash out. It's not even just Milot winning. It's that Julia Gonzalez almost won and she had a terrible campaign. Let's just be completely honest. This is something that I need you guys to be adults, right? I'm allowed to like someone and also think they did a bad job, right? Like, can we all, Mela? Yeah, is that what I said? That is actually really necessary for leadership, right? Like, you need to be able to look at something and go, wow, that sucked. Have I talked about DSA's new program? Not yet. I probably will. The Maillard effect is all 4 congressional Democrats from Colorado voted yes on the Massey-Khanna amendment. This is also another Mike was right moment. This is another Mike was right moment. 103 Democrats voted to strip funding from Israel. Because why? Because they're scared. Now, obviously, looking at the people who voted nay and the people that voted present and the people that didn't vote, like obviously that was the plurality of Democrats when you add all those people together. But these people are scared. They're scared. And now we have 98 targets, right? So we don't need to replace every single Democrat with a DSA Democrat, right? We just need to, we need to replace the ones that aren't intimidated by us, right? The ones that we can browbeat, the ones that will bend the knee, the ones that will vote along with us on our program, they get to live, at least for now. Right? Like that is the reality. But these people we target. What I would love to see and what would be really useful would be a list of a graphic showing districts of D plus whatever who voted, like say more than D plus 20 who voted to fund Israel. And we could do like, and then we could also put in like the AIPAC funding they get. So AIPAC funding, their face, their district, the D plus 20, and then maybe like put a grayscale on it and say DSA target. And like, you know what I mean? Like that would be fun. That's actually the stuff that I want to do. I'm just not a graphic person. I just don't do graphics. Unfortunately, I don't do that. Canada is currently cooking right now. Yeah, I know. I saw that. We should look at this. El Sayed's campaign, which has been focused on electability since McMorrow's collapse, sending around a memo contrasting his polls and fundraising with Stevens. Which of these looks like the strongest general election campaign to you? They don't care! Guys, they don't care. This is a mistake that every progressive makes. They have to go through it. They have to experience it. I experienced this in 2018. They don't care that you're popular. They don't care that the grassroots is excited. They don't care that you have volunteers. They don't care that you're raising money from new people. They don't give a shit. They want you to support the most evil corporate Zionist shit, the insurance companies, the big banks, the oil companies. That's what they want. They don't want you out there, you know, agitating the hoi polloi. In fact, the more you do, the more they want to defeat you. So yes, obviously Abdul El-Sayed is a better candidate than Haley Stevens. It's of course he is. There's no question. He's got a fucking rogue scholarship. He's a medical doctor PhD. He's got way more volunteers. He's way more fucking able to communicate and charismatic. Of course. They don't give a shit. The fact that he's not bot. The fact that he's not an idiot. They hate it. They want bot idiots. They want people that are not charismatic because the less charisma you have, the more you are beholden to the money. Did I say rogue scholar? Rhodes, not rogue. Rhodes scholar. Sorry. But you get my point. Like, the better you are as a person, the fact he married his high school sweetheart, they hate that. They want a fucking pedophile. They want you in the Epstein files. When Chuck Schumer is looking for a candidate, he's like, are you in the Epstein files? Are you completely do you have cancer? Do you have no charisma? That's what they want. So yeah, you can go through here and go, Abdul El-Sayed raised, more than twice as much money, and his fundraising growth is amazing, and he's got 86 volunteer events, and he polls better against the Republican, and his net favorability is higher, and he's got way more donations, and you can do all that shit. They fucking hate it. The stronger you are, the more they hate you. Do you get it? That's the Democratic Party. And, the reason why I'm unhinged and screaming over this is because I've experienced it. I've experienced it where they literally sabotage you with. That's why you see Emily's List, which is supposed to be this pro-choice organization on behalf of abortion rights, right? And women in politics, coming out and calling Abdul El-Sayed sexist because he might have criticized a Democratic woman or like a woman who was a Democrat at some point on policy. They are trying to lose the election to the Republican because he might change American politics away from their class of rich donors. That's what it is. $52 million of super PAC money, and she's less popular. And here it is, like, right? Here's Clyburn, right? Clyburn, there he is. And by the way, like, I mean, Jim Clyburn is corrupt. And for example, he endorsed Biden in South Carolina because his daughter was running a super PAC. His daughter was the executive director of a super PAC, and he wanted Biden to work with that super PAC so his daughter could get bribes, basically legalized bribes, because she wasn't getting bribed. She was working as an executive director of a political organization. She's not being bribed. She's working. And they were mad because Biden campaign's selection of preferred super PAC stokes strife in Democratic Party. Oh. Among top Democrats pushing the campaign to accept help from a broader constellations of group is Rep. James Clyburn, an influential figure whose endorsement was pivotal in Biden's momentum toward the nomination. It's a horrible mistake to put all eggs in one basket, Clyburn told an interview with the Washington Post. I believe very strongly that everyone has a role to play. No one person, no one entity can be all things to all people. It just can't happen. One size does not fit all. Clyburn is a prominent advocate of Unite the Country, and his daughter is on the group's board. And if you're like, okay, Mike, sure, he's corrupt. You know, he's a corrupt, but ultimately he's on the same side. He wants to beat the Republicans. Nope. James Clyburn protected his district at a cost to black Democrats. People will tell you DSA is not as popular with older black Democrats as it should be, right? For trying to pretend there's some sort of like racial animus there. When in reality, James Clyburn, who they say we should all listen to, worked with Republicans to gerrymander South Carolina to make it all more Republican so that they would make his seat even more blue and eliminate a swing district. And he worked with them to do that. The meeting was arranged in secret on November 19, 2021. The chief of staff for South Carolina Senate Judiciary Committee texted Dalton Trezvant, a key aide to Jim Clyburn. The state legislature had become the crucial task of redrawing voting district lines after 2020 census. Even small changes in the lines can be the difference between who wins office, who loses, and which party holds power. Clyburn had a problem. His once majority black district had suffered a daunting exodus of residents since the last count. He wanted his seat to be made as safe as possible. Fortunately for them, Clyburn, who is 82 and recently reelected to his 16th term, had a long ago made peace with the art of bartering. Yeah, you don't say. Trezvant made his way to the grounds of the antebellum State House, a relic still marked from cannon fire from Sherman's army. The aide carried a hand-drawn map of Clyburn's 6th district and presented it to Fifik and the other Republican committee staffers who were working to reconfigure the state's congressional boundaries. The resulting map, finalized in January 2022, made Clyburn's lock on power stronger than it might have been otherwise. A House of Representatives seat that Democrats held as recently in 2018 would become even more solid for the incumbent Republican. This came at a cost. Democrats now have virtually no shot of winning any congressional seat in South Carolina other than Clyburn's. State political leaders on both sides of the aisle say. And that's what they want. They want a controlled opposition party so his daughter can get super PAC bribes. They fucking hate you. And a lot of people have struggled with this, right? Like this almost sounds like a conspiracy theory, except it's all out in the open. You're just too lazy to find it out. Now you're lucky I'm here. I'm here to connect the dots for you using mainstream media reporting, directly showing exactly what I'm saying and as I say it. So I'm sorry for getting so fired up, because the thing about this is that these people are legitimately evil. They legitimately are evil, and they want us to die. They're literally running the Cuomo playbook. Congressman Jim Clyburn's endorsement of Andrew Cuomo. The thing that really pisses me off about Zoran and AOC, I mean, AOC, I guess, endorsed. She did endorse Abdul, which is great. I'm glad she did. Thank you, AOC, for endorsing. But Zoran Mamdani, you need to get over yourself, man. I'm only endorsing in New York City. Bro, they fucking hate you, man. You're not playing nice, okay? Abdul is gonna win. Go out there. Get over yourself. Zoran, get the fuck over yourself and go campaign for Abdul. Anyway, this is actually good news. Sorry for getting so fired up. The screaming and the arrogance of the reason I'm turning you off. Okay, buddy. You can go to, here, let me help you turn me off permanently. There you go. Bye. It's okay. You can go watch someone else. Someone who's stupid and doesn't know anything about anything. It's fine. Let me help you. I think he has enough pool to support outside of New York. Oh, the one more thing. Thanks for all the money. I do appreciate that. How the fuck? Oh, what else have you said? Whatever. Yeah, you can leave. You know that you can prevent bad chatters from seeing your streams in the settings. Oh, I know. I don't want to do that. Mike, I appreciate the passion. Shit gets crazy, and it's crazy to act level-headed in the face of that. I mean, listen, like, sometimes you just need to let it out, you know?
I am going to be working on our behalf. I am going to be telling the stories on our behalf. And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way. Right? I am going to be working on our behalf. I am going to be telling the stories on our behalf. And you better believe I'm going to be doing it with a little bit of joy, a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them. Because that's the Michigan way. Right?
I do think that if you like her, there's something wrong with you. And one of the things that really bothers me, what bothers me about all of this, is ABDUL is the #1 Democratic fundraiser. He's attended 475 public events, and he has more than 10,000 volunteers. She is faking her voice for some reason.
Stevens, and I was chief of staff to President Obama's auto rescue. We saved over 200,000 jobs and strengthened Michigan's advanced manufacturing economy. That's our future. I'm Haley Stevens, and I was chief of staff to...
Is it me, or is she using an Instagram filter? Am I being an asshole? But it seems like she's using an Instagram filter. Am I crazy? Oh, she's a 2018 video. That's the point. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm Haley Stevens, and I was chief of staff to President Obama's auto...
Is Haley from Michigan? Like, is she originally from Michigan? I don't know enough. Okay, say she was born in Michigan. Okay. She went to American University in Washington, D.C. Woo-woo, woo-woo. CIA detected. Woo-woo. She was a Hillary. Oh, my God. Everybody who was in politics in 2008 who wanted to work for Hillary Clinton over Obama is a fucking ghoul. Okay, she returned to Michigan in 2017. Okay, so in other words, she left Michigan and then she came back to run for office. That's basically it. So she's a DC creature who came back to Michigan to run for office. Okay. Pretty standard. And okay, what was I saying? What was the rant? I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. AIPAC is toxic to Democratic primary voters. Like, look at these numbers, man. -46 net favorability, 53% unfavorably, 7 favorably. And then this is the more important thing. 78% say they would be less likely to vote for a U.S. Senate candidate who accepts endorsing and or financial backing of pro-Israel organizations such as AIPAC. I said ran down instead of rain. Thank you. Today, Congresswoman Stevens had a choice: stand with the majority of Democrats who oppose unconditional military aid to Israel, or stand with the special interests funding her campaign. She chose to side with AIPAC and Republicans to continue to fund a war machine that has taken the loved ones of so many Michigan families. She made her choice. You make yours. Well, not only that, she knows it's unpopular, and she knows it was going to pass anyway. Think about that. She knew it was unpopular. She knew it was going to pass anyway. I want you to think about that. Like, she didn't even do the thing of voting present and you know, call up AIPAC and be like, listen, you guys are really unpopular right now. It's going to pass anyway. I'm just going to vote present. Because they're so fascistically extreme that they don't even let you stealth it. Nancy Pelosi voted against funding Israel. And the thing that's even crazier is she's not Jewish. She's not Jewish. Like, when she says Israel comes to her in her dreams, that is like psychotic. People are like, oh, you don't support Haley Stevens? How anti-Semitic of you. A white Christian lady. Which takes us to our next.
Wanted to transition to.
Massey and Ro Khanna had an amendment to strip funding from Israel. And let's talk about it.
Talk about this amendment that was a big vote in the House yesterday.
Now, this is where forcing the vote matters. Okay? This is where force the vote is a good idea. See how magnanimous I am? It's not that forcing the vote is always wrong, right? It's just that if you have a group of politicians who are supporting your interests and they say, we don't think it's a good idea right now to force the vote, you don't blow up your relationship with them over it, right? You go, okay, I tactically disagreed with you, end of story, right? But now we have something where forcing the vote matters because let's be honest, most Democrats support Medicare for all, but not supporting Medicare for all and supporting a public option is not considered to be a deal breaker with Democratic voters. Do you understand what I mean? Like the vast majority of Democrats support Medicare for all. But if they hear you go, listen, I don't think Medicare for all can pass, I support a public option, they're not going to go, oh my God, you pawn of the insurance companies, I'll never vote for you. They don't feel that way, okay? They go, okay, that's a reasonable different policy. I would like better than that, but I agree with you that would be a good step forward. So forcing the vote on Medicare for all is not going to create a list of people that we can primary, right? And it'll lose, and that's that. And then the newspapers will be Medicare for all loses with a huge bipartisan majority. Like that's that. But now we have a different story, which is support for Israel funding. The vast majority of Americans hate Israel. And if you support Israel, they're much less likely to vote for you. So forcing the vote on this is actually a good idea because it gives you a list of people to vote the primary and something that's going to piss off all the voters, because when they say you voted to give Israel money, that'll piss them off. They're not going to listen to you going, well, they're the most democracy. They've heard all that and they hate it. Mike is saying most people are contradictory idiots. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that forcing the vote and blowing up your relationship with AOC over a force to vote for Medicare for all in 2018 or 2020 was dumb as fuck. Whereas forcing the vote now to expose all the pro-Zionist Dems is a great idea.
Congressman Massey, you offered this amendment. We can put D1 up on the screen here. Ultimately, it failed, but created quite a lot of intrigue in the Democratic caucus in particular. You were the only Republican that voted yes on this amendment, which cut all funding for Israel. You actually had a narrow majority of Democrats who did vote for the proposal, which is just such a sea change in the positioning of the Democratic Party. I mean, previously, the relationship with Israel was really lockstep across the board. So I'm curious for your reaction to how this vote broke down, and if you're surprised that none of your colleagues are where you are right now on this issue.
Well, the reason I was able to get this vote on the floor of the House, I sincerely wanted to vote. I offered 3 amendments to defund foreign aid to Egypt, foreign aid to Jordan, and foreign aid to Israel. And the Republican leadership, to my surprise, allowed me to get the vote on Israel. But I think that's because they made a political calculation. I believe it's a miscalculation, but they made a political calculation that this would be a hard vote for Democrats. And it did turn out to be a hard vote for Democrats. It should have been a hard vote for Republicans because now they've all locked into this idea that American taxpayers should give weapons and billions of dollars. I pointed out in my floor speech, we spend more on offensive weapons to Israel than we do on homeless veterans in the United States. And so every Republican has voted to send offensive weapons to Israel, $3.3 billion. The vote was successful, though. My litmus test, we've had votes like this in the past. You get maybe 6 or 10 people to vote for amendments like this. In fact, my vote to defund Jordan got 6 votes, okay? But this was different. This moment in time is different because you can't objectively look at what's happening in Gaza and say that there's no moral hazard here for American taxpayers. 70,000 people have died in a country of 2 million people. I mean, it's incredible.
And that doesn't even include the people that have been horrifyingly maimed. You know what I mean? Or had limbs amputated, or lost their sight, or their hearing, or have brain damage, or complex PTSD. You know what I mean? Like, death is obviously something that we could look at, but it doesn't include the destruction of their entire family's life, or the serious injuries, or you know what I mean? Like 1 in 5 Palestinians is permanently disfigured, injured, traumatized, if not more.
Horrific. And so, but the fact that I thought, let me just say, my own secret number in my head was people were like, how many votes are you going to get? I would say dozens, because I thought I would get 24 votes. And 60, if I got 60, I would have considered it a success. And 100 was beyond what I imagined we could get. But eventually, Nancy Pelosi endorsed the amendment.
That was a shocker.
Crazy.
I can only say that because I lost my primary. Like this. I think part of the reason I lost my primary is Ro Khanna endorsed it.
Don't blame me.
But Nancy Pelosi came out for it. The minority whip came out for it.
Yep.
But the minority leader came out against it. So it really did split the Democrats. I think in time, for the 103 Democrats and myself who voted not to send this money to Israel, as time goes on, that's going to be a better and better vote. And the people that were on the other side of that, including all of my conference except for me, are going to regret this vote.
Congressman Khanna, yeah, curious for your reaction. This was a major intra-democratic war. You had the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who voted for. You had the majority whip, who then, of course, said that they would cut to vote 8. I'm curious for your reaction here about this split within the Democratic caucus. You were an original leader on a movement like this to watch, a significant portion of your Democratic colleagues eventually come to your position. What does that foretell for the future of the Democratic?
I was joking with Thomas that we had more caucus meetings discussing his amendment than any Democratic legislation.
Wow, that's crazy, actually.
They had like Sunday afternoon calls to discuss the Massey amendment and caucus meetings. But this should have been such a simple vote. I mean, we have to go beyond this, but obviously we shouldn't be giving them U.S. tax dollar aid for military weapons. In my view, we shouldn't be giving them military weapons to be killing civilians. And we need to be sanctioning the banks and government officials who are engaged in the settlement and work on.
I think one of the problems that we have is obviously, the thing about Ro Khanna is what the average Democrat should be, right? Or you know what I mean? I don't hate Ro Khanna. He's just not anywhere near as good as AOC, and I'm tired of pretending that he is. And he's got this Elizabeth Warren delusion that he's going to run for president, and that has to be broken in his mind. Bro, you're not it, right? Don't do it. And I don't know how to convince you. If he tries to run for president, we're going to destroy him, right? I think he got a little bit of a taste of what happens when he said that, Palestinians should not resist the military of Israel or whatever the fuck. AOC Ro ticket? No. What does he bring? What the fuck does Ro Khanna bring to an AOC ticket? AOC is a young Hispanic woman. She needs somebody and she's from New York City. She needs someone probably from the upper Midwest, working class background, probably white, probably Sean Fain. For me, that's the ideal campaign because he does it. He is actually a left winger who has worked his life in the left wing space. He's vetted, and he represents the labor movement. That's why they're DOJ investigating him for bullshit. And he's just as left-wing as AOC, so there's not going to be any incentive to get rid of AOC. That's why I'm a Fain, and he's not a career politician. That's my take. I don't think we need two urban Democrats, right? I don't think, when I say urban, I mean from big cities, right? He's from Indiana. I think it's a good thing to geographically balance it. Although I could see, I think was Rashida born in the U.S.? I don't think she was. Unless I'm wrong. Oh, she was. Okay. Well, there you go. She could be president then. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, she was. You racist. How long should I ban you? How long should I ban you, Jelly? Anyway, what was I saying? No jokes. That's not really a joke. A joke has a setup and a punchline. It's not a joke. Anyway, I'm not going to ban you, but I'm just going to tell you, nobody likes that. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, no, I didn't realize. I guess I thought, I don't know why I didn't, I probably knew that. I don't know why I didn't know that. I think it's because people have always, Ilhan wasn't born in the U.S., so that might be why I got confused, because of because I have them in the squad category in my brain. I need to update that. Well, now we know. What would your AOC cabinet picks? I mean, let's calm down doing the cabinet picks. Update, they got the government monitor on audio acting on behalf of Israel.
Recognizing a Palestinian state. But in my view, you had 103 folks, and the new Congress, you're going to have even more, and that it's going to become a very, very small minority eventually that is going to be saying, let's just have continued aid to Israel.
It's pretty wild to see Nancy Pelosi vote for it and Hakeem Jeffries vote against it.
Yeah.
And Pelosi, people are sharing all kinds of clips of her now saying, like, if the Capitol were to crumble, the one thing that would remain is our, solidarity with Israel. And now here she is on her way out. And she's like, yeah, we'll vote to defund this. And I think she sees the writing on the wall. She's a very savvy political operator of where things are going. I cannot for the life of me really understand Hakeem Jeffries' calculus here. Because while there is such a split in the House Democratic caucus, there is not a split among the Democratic base.
There's not.
Overwhelmingly, it is now a small minority that want to maintain the status quo with regard to our relationship with Israel. So, what were those internal conversations like, to the extent that you can share some of the details? Because it's just very hard for me to understand why any cynical politician would look at this landscape on the Democratic side at this point and say, I want to stay with this position that has like 15% support among my own voters at this point.
Look, people were saying, oh, you're going to cut the Middle East diplomacy program. I said, by definition, that's probably one of the programs that should be cut or something. Hasn't worked.
How's it working?
You want to look at government
Sounds
programs
good,
that don't work or something. But beyond that, okay, fine. You want to have those programs. That was less than 1% of the aid, and you could have voted for Massey's bill and then still said an amendment saying, well, we want to keep the program for Middle East peace. But I do think it's a mistake for anyone who voted this way morally, but also politically. If you look at Claire Valdez, you look at Brad Lander, you look at Milat, you look at Anna Lilia, you look at Adam Hamawi, you look at Plattner before the scandals, Abdul. The driving line in these issues is the funding on Israel and Gaza. And the Democrats want to kind of whitewash that part. Oh, Zoran or these candidates won because of affordability. They won because they wanted free childcare, freeze the rent, or Medicare for all. Although it matters. But the first point of the animating difference that is motivating these
Bro can stay where he is, no leader. I mean, listen, like I think that Roe could be a fine member of the leadership in the Democratic Party in the House, right? I think that's about where his career should cap out. Like maybe he could run for Senate in California or something like that. But the idea that he's going to run for president, it would just be the absolute worst thing to ever happen to his career, because I can tell you that I have been pulling my punches, okay? I've been pulling my punches. Hassan's been pulling his punches. Announce for president. Try it. Announce for president. You think you're having a good time on all these alt media spaces? Announce for president. Like, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I like a lot of the people at his staff. I like them. Don't run for president. If you run for president, I'm going to be your number one enemy, okay? Don't do it.
Candidates and the energy is Israel. I mean, Milat would have been no shot to beat Deget. Deget was good on all the issues. She was for Medicare for all, living wage. Why did she lose? She lost on this issue.
Wow.
And I just think that the political leadership hasn't grappled with that reality.
Congressman Matt, I was coming to you because you were the only Republican who voted for it. I know you speak to many of your colleagues. You and I both know you're not the only person who thinks something like this.
Correct.
So why?
You and I both know that you're not the only one. But why? Because Israel unlimited money, you libertarian dipshit. You fucking morons. This is the politics you wanted. You wanted unlimited money in our campaigns. Yeah, money is speech. What, you don't like the 50 million fucking dollars? I'm sorry, what was it, 30 million in your campaign primary? You fucking dope. Where they could buy every single media ad?
Do they all? But why do they still see political utility in supporting Israel?
Because I just lost my election. I mean, $30 million, and 98% of that came from AIPAC or Republican Jewish Coalition or Miriam Adelson. It was all the race against me was fueled and funded by the Israeli lobby. And they made an example out of me, and it worked. I mean, you're getting senators who are changing their positions. You're getting House representatives, folks who are just going underground on the Republican side, not saying anything about it. But the one thing I want to talk about, two things. They realize this is a political liability, the Israeli lobby. So they're trying to take away the transparency of this money that's being spent, and they're trying to integrate it into our military budget so it won't be a line item that Congress votes on.
All right, Chad, I know we have a rule about comradeship, but I'm gonna have to do some critical conversations here for a second. Black Red Guard of the Maoist Liberation Caucus quote tweeting Hartzell, friend of the show, been on the stream twice, saying this is a great ad. Bro, you hate this. Your entire caucus does everything you can to block this. Why are you quote tweeting shit for likes and saying this is great when your entire caucus is predicated on not doing this? It doesn't, like, what are you saying? I don't understand. This is a contradiction in your thinking. And I would hope that you would realize that, hey, maybe not blocking our electoral work at the national level is a good idea if you could see how effective this ad is and how it's actually putting shine on the socialist movement. Maybe stop blocking our electoral work. It's the same thing with people like Brett, or the same people, like, even though he's not really significant nationally. But it's like, if you think these electoral campaigns are helping us, which they objectively are, then help us do them by moving out of the fucking way. You don't have to work on them if you don't believe in it. Work on something else. But stop actively blocking.
This used to be my great-grandmother's home. It was more than just wood and brick. It was front porch wisdom, Sunday dinners, and a place where we learned what love and community meant. 4 generations were rooted right here, and now it's gone. My community, like so many, wasn't abandoned by accident. They were targeted, and they were left behind on purpose. But you see, Kansas City has never waited for permission to fight back. We organized in the same neighborhoods where they redlined. We built resistance from church basements to jazz halls. I'm running for Congress because we deserve better. Housing and health care, they are human rights, not a privilege. And peace should start from home and should guide us abroad. My friends, we are building a movement powered by the working class, our neighbors, organizers, truth tellers, not corporate PACs, not real estate money. I'm Hartzell, and Kansas City raised me, and I believe that we will win.
How is Hartzell's chances? They're pretty good. I think they're underestimating it because it is a district that went hard for Trump. But the thing is, 2024 is not 2026. And so the Republicans that came out to vote for Trump are going to fall off. There's going to be a significant fall off from low propensity Republicans. The second thing is the Democratic base is fired up. And if you could also fire up some young people and some progressives that don't normally vote in midterms, something like R+10 is completely winnable. And I wouldn't be surprised if nationwide we had a D+13 year. So anything that's like R+15 or less, I think is winnable. I think Hartzell is the type of candidate who wins out of nowhere. I think there is a lot of, the problem is convincing people that something like Hartzell, something like Oliver Larkin are winnable because they got gerrymandered. But I think they're dummy manders. I think this is an actual opportunity to pick up some seats. Now it'll be a very hard seat to hold, right? It'll be a very hard seat to hold in 2028 unless we get some sort of like landslide for the president, right? Which I think is possible. And then after that, these guys are fucking, they are, I was going to say something, but I don't think it's good politically optics. They're like, have you guys ever played Warcraft 2, the RTS game? And you had like these little goblin units, which would like go in and they would like detonate themselves. What were the goblin units called? The sappers. Yeah. Yeah, the goblin sappers. Yeah. And what I mean by that is if they go in there with the understanding that there's going to probably be some thermostatic effect in 2030, and they can change, they can win by changing the structures of American government, right? And like, you know, ending gerrymandering, maybe, you know, multi-member districts, proportional representation, packing the Supreme Court. You know, they go in and they do a lot of like Green New Deal, massive changes. Then they can stay in power, right? But they need to go in there with the mentality of, I'm going in there to enact as much policy as I can. I don't give a fuck about trying to moderate to stay in the seat, because that won't work. Is there a battle for the primary for Hartzell? I think there are other people in the primary, so we should always help him. But I think he's the favorite.
Jihadist terrorism in Europe dropped by roughly 97.
I voted against DSA running anybody for president at the convention. I didn't want any part of this stupidity in the first place. Bro, come on, man. Like, this is just ridiculous. You know, do you think there's a big difference between Hartzell and AOC? Do you think there really is that big of a difference between Oliver Larkin and AOC? There's not. You guys are just crazy. There's not. And like, that's the truth nuke. That's the truth nuke that you all need to like listen in. You need to understand there's not that big of a difference between AOC and Rashida Tlaib, or whichever politician that you have decided that is good while AOC is bad. They're all the fucking same. He's saying it's not about the candidates. Stop being bad faith. A lot of people are energized to unseat Mark Alford. He used to be a news anchor and was voted in by name recognition. He's such a huge sellout. Your typical stooge. Yeah, 100%. And like, listen, I like BRG. I actually think he's got a lot of comradeship. I just think I think they're dead wrong on their perspective on electoral politics in America in 2026. The masses don't take us seriously unless we can win. That's it. And when it looks like we might win, look at the Google trends of DSA. Why do you think this is happening? This is happening because we can win power. We're winning now. Like, the idea that people have never heard our message is not true. They don't want to waste their time on dreams. They don't got time for that. But if you could show them a path for it being real, and winning power is how they take you seriously. That's how you get them in the door. There's millions upon millions of people that are sympathetic to socialism. Millions. We only have 120,000 members. If you're already in the movement now, you're on the van cutting edge vanguard. You're weird. And I mean that in a complimentary fashion. You're a fucking weirdo if you're in my stream or in Hassan's stream. If you're joining DSA, you're fucking weird. Complimentary. The worst thing you could do is like look around and see a growing organization and say, yep, now we could focus on each other. No. When DSA has as many members as the United States military, then we could start talking to each other we could start focusing on each other. Okay? When we have as many DSA members as we have Marines in this country, then we can have a conversation about DSA being mature. Okay? I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? A complimentary weirdo. And like, so that's why I'm like, man, these campaigns are huge propaganda for us. And it's working. It's not about us thinking socialism will be delivered by Zoran Mamdani winning the mayor's race. It's about teaching people that our way of thinking has utility in their life, that working together as a class can achieve things. That's what they have to learn. That's what they need taught. You want to radicalize someone to the left? Show them how being a left-winger changes the world in a way that benefits all of us. And it's not just nice-sounding talk, because everybody's taught to be cynical in our society. Everybody's taught to care about themselves. They have that hegemonic capitalist neoliberal belief system. For socialism to break through that and turn them from an individual into a collective actor, they have to be shown that it can win and it can work and that their neighbors agree. That's what the electoral politics does. It's not like we're going to pass laws and that's going to ultimately lead to revolution through like we're going to pass the Abolish Capitalism Act by voting in, you know, AOC. It's about the long-term structural opportunities that grow out of that. The sequence of one step in front of the other. And like ultimately that is how we win. I think if electoral politics aren't in your strategy, that's fine. Organize in tenant unions or workplaces, but you will still have to use that organizing as leverage against whoever is elected. I got to tell you, like all of us only have a limited amount of capacity. We need tenant organizers. You don't want to do electoral politics. You want to do tenant organizing, go do tenant organizing. But Everybody who's not stupid understands that if your mayor is Zoran Mamdani, your tenant organizing will be easier. If your mayor is Andrew Cuomo, your tenant organizing will be a lot harder. So if you want to focus on tenant organizing, focus on that, but don't sabotage Zoran. See, the thing is, a lot of it is ego. It's like whatever I'm doing must be the most important thing. And everything you're doing can't be important because if it was, I'd be doing it. That's ego. I agree with Mug, but I don't agree with their strategy. Like, I like a lot of what they say, but then I end up disagreeing with what they're doing nationally. So does that mean that I guess I don't agree with them then, right? Because if the result of your thinking is we're going to delay in being engaged in the most important election of our lifetime, and then eventually just kind of agree AOC wins, but we're going to slow it down as much as we can for no fucking purpose, that's not a good strategy to me. And like, this is what's happening in the government.
The number of people killed by jihadist terrorism in Europe dropped by roughly 94. In other words, to a very great extent, our counterterrorism, the threat has not, will continue to exist so long as we tolerate immigration into our respective homelands. This threat, the world looked for far too long. However, our counterterrorism doctrine had a blind spot when it comes to extremist violence. The number of people killed by jihadist terrorism in Europe dropped by roughly.
Like they are very clearly saying this week, like, oh, we need to target the left at home. Who do you think they're talking about? And why do you think they're saying that? It's because we represent a threat.
Thanks very much for joining me. We are living in a very, very crazy and unprecedented time. And if you are feeling a bit unsettled, a bit overwhelmed, you are not alone. Welcome to the club. Let me say a few words as to where we are today, as I see it, and where we should be moving in the future. Today, as I think you all know, we have a president who is an authoritarian, who wants more and more power in his own hands, and does not believe in democracy or the rule of law. He is a narcissist, and if he had his way, I suspect that half the buildings in the country would be named after him. He is a pathological liar. He is a corrupt kleptocrat who has increased his wealth and the wealth of his family by billions of dollars since he has been president. And despite campaigning against endless wars, he and his pal Netanyahu started an unprovoked war with Iran that has already killed many thousands of people throughout the region, increased the destabilization of an already unstable area, and has driven up prices here in the United States and around the world. But it is not just Trump and his policies that worry people. Today, we have more income and wealth inequality than we have ever had in the history of our country. While 60% of our people live paycheck to paycheck, trying to afford housing and food and health care and other basic necessities of life, the richest people in our country have never, ever had it so good. The top 1% now owns more wealth than the bottom 93%, and if you can believe it, one man, Mr. Elon Musk, the world's first trillionaire, now owns 3 times more wealth than the bottom half of our nation, and that is 170 million people.
Jesus
Meanwhile,
Christ.
Economists tell us.
What do I expect for the Trump speech tonight? I'm sorry for pausing because on the one hand, the president saying things used to represent something, right? Like, I think part of the reason why we feel so like a kilter in the modern era is because when a president used to say something, he used to line shit up. He used to make sure that he had the ability to do what he said, right? It was very rare where a president would say something that he didn't have any power to implement because a president would believe that they were undermining their own authority and embarrassing themselves, right? So they wouldn't say shit unless they could line it up. But Donald Trump is the opposite. Donald Trump just says shit. And so as president, all of us are trained to take what he's saying seriously, but at the same time, he's a dickless wonder and he's a fucking loser. So it's not so much what he says. I'm more interested in what he's actually going to try to do.
That our younger generation will likely have a lower standard of living than their parents. But it's not just Trump and income and wealth inequality that is bothering people. Today, as climate scientists have been predicting for years, we now are experiencing record-breaking heat waves in the United States and throughout the world, heat waves that have caused many thousands of deaths. In addition, as a result of rising temperatures, we're seeing more and more drought, flooding, and forest fires. And yet, because of the incredibly stupid policies of Trump, we are cutting back on the development of renewable energy and putting more and more money into fossil fuels. But it's not just Trump. It's not just income and wealth inequality. It's not just climate change that people are worried about. Increasingly, Americans are concerned about the impact that AI, artificial intelligence, will have on their lives. Let us be clear. AI and robotics are the most transformational technologies in the history of humanity. They will impact our economy with the likely loss of many millions of jobs. They will eviscerate our privacy rights, undermine our democracy, and negatively impact the mental health of our children. And if AI ever becomes independent of human control, it could threaten the very existence of humanity. Oh, and by the way, our healthcare system is broken and dysfunctional.
Anonymous gifter with the 50 bomb. What the fuck? Let's fucking go. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to do an early shill? Because we'll have a pretty high level hype train. If you guys want to try, we could try. Wait, when's the last hype train we had? Has it been an hour? Oh, fuck, it hasn't been an hour yet. No, it was an hour. Let's go, let's go. Everybody sub, everybody sub, everybody sub. Let's get this hype train going. Green base guy. Don't speculate on anonymous gifters, okay? An anonymous gifter is an anonymous gifter. If they wanted attention, they would sub under their own name. It is bad etiquette to attempt to assign gifting to anybody, right? Like, I'm telling you this as a streamer. If you want to piss streamers off, do that, right? You know, I love you. I think you're great. I'm just telling you that you're doing a thing. You're doing a thing that's going to be very annoying to most streamers. What happened to a person who used to be very supportive of all the big streamers? None of your business. Again, I don't want to have to start handing out week-long bans. But when people are supportive of these communities, they get negative attention and they get positive attention. And in no way should any of you do negative attention on these people by giving them excessive scrutiny. It's fucking weird and it's bad vibes for the community. And I will absolutely nuke you from orbit from every single left-wing streamer if you do that kind of shit. Just say. Anyway, let's have some positive vibe. Quarks After Dark, thank you for the 5. Flimsy Fishy, thank you for the 10. Uh-oh, Queero, thank you for the 5. Kit Kat 09, thank you for the 5. Get a Grip, thank you for the 5. Chirp Up, thank you for the 5. Oreo, thank you for the 5. Anonymous Gifter, thank you for the 10. Woke Sky, thank you for the 6 months. Very Polite Vampire with the tier 2 for 63 months. You fucking rule. Lazy Gains Gaming, thank you for the 5. Green Bass Guy, thank you for the 20 months. Welcome back, brother. Vexandra, thank you for the 5. Anonymous Gifter, thank you for the 50. Let's fucking go.
We have a major...
Motherfucker, what are you talking about? I was just asking a question. Ban me. Okay, you have 24 hours off. Hammond Fist, thank you for the 20 bomb. Tom Like a Tom, thank you for the 10 bomb. You guys fucking rule. Thank you so much. I'll explain it for people because, you know, listen, streaming is something that a lot of people do as their job. And the best way, and the way you survive streaming, especially as a political streamer, is through people subscribing, right? And if somebody like goes out of their way to like really support a lot of left-wing streamers, people start getting weird toward them, especially if their streamer isn't getting money. You know, people start getting possessive over the support that people are giving. And from on this side of the camera, I don't want people to ever feel weird to support the stream because other chatters who don't support the stream are making them feel weird. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, all of us need this support in order to function as streamers, right? So it's not that these people are getting extra, status or whatever. It's just common sense. You know, so treat people with respect and gratitude for supporting the community instead of acting in an entitled way and gossiping about them in the chat. You're like, that's never going to be okay. I wouldn't let people do that about you and you don't give any money, broke ass. So like, why the fuck do you think we would let you gossip about people that are supporting the channel, right? Like, just be normal. That's all, you know? You know, like, and it's okay. You don't have to subscribe, right? Like, I don't want anybody to like give me money they can't afford to give, right? If you can't afford a subscription, ask a comrade to throw you a gift, right? Like, I don't want to shame anybody. I'm not shaming you for not being able to sub, but I'm also not going to let people abuse people that do support the community. That's crazy. How many senators do we need in order to gum up the works and get our demands met? That's a very complicated question, right? The more credible the left is in primarying Democrats, the more scared people will be to vote against the party. And here's the dirty little secret about the Democratic Party. It actually has a lot of good policies. Like, there's actually a lot of good policies that are in like the Democratic Party platform. You know, are they socialism? Not necessarily, but there's actually a lot of pretty good policies in there. But they get buried because that's just having a policy of the platform is not the same thing as actually enacting, right? So there you have it, right? There you have it. So when just to finish it. So when we elect like left wingers to office, and especially through primaries, every sitting politician who might have been swayed to vote, be the rotating villain, gets scared, and they are easier to whip. Now, whipping is the process of ensuring that all of the members of the caucus vote for whatever the leadership is asking them to vote for, right? A whip is a formal position of the leadership. They go around and they ask everybody, hey, what do you think about Medicare for all? Are you going to vote for it? Or are you going to vote against it? Or are you undecided, right? That's called the whip count. So in order for us to be able to pass our policies, we need to have a strong political threat. That'll aid in the attempt of like pressuring people to vote for something. Because if it's like, I could vote against it because fuck you, and nothing happens to that politician, well, then it's going to be very hard for us to challenge, existing society. Hi, Mike. First time chatter in this chat. I really like that you're pushing DSA to lead the political revolution happening right now. Do you think Hassan is being too timid by not putting his weight around pushing DSA in that direction? I do understand his worry to become too big of an influence outside DSA, breaking the democratic process inside the party. What are your thoughts? Should he do more? What is he doing now good enough to match the times? Okay, here's what I would say. I would say that everybody has to go through a political process, and they have to gain confidence through praxis. I can look at Hassan and say, you should be one of DSA's major leaders. You should be on the MPC. You should have a whole slate of people that are lined up with you. I can say that. But until he believes that that's going to make the world better, it's going to be effective, it doesn't matter. I'm just being annoying. So my general feeling is I think that Hassan is advancing his political awareness of his own power at a really encouraging rate. And I personally am going to be more involved in DSA because I believe that all of you should be organized, right? And I believe that DSA right now is too small. And so if we can use our influence to help grow DSA, then our politics are going to do better. So that's my ultimate goal, is to try to turn the power that we have here into concentrated, organized power in DSA.
Housing crisis, some 20 million families are spending at least half of their limited incomes on housing. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth, and 1 out of 3 seniors are struggling economically. So, why do I mention all of these things? Honestly, really, Boy Scout honor.
Can you explain why the size of DSA is the primary concern? Because we cannot run... Oh, thank you guys for the 209 subs and 1,081 bits. You guys rule. The problem is that DSA is too small. What do I mean by that? Why is that a problem? A chatter asked me. Well, because DSA should be able to run a senator in every one of the 50 states. Because there is a base of people in every state of this country large enough to support a Senate campaign. There isn't one state in America that doesn't have enough progressives and socialists in it, or people that are sympathetic to progressivism and socialism, that they couldn't run. And certainly in every state that has a democratic government or democratic leaders, DSA should be competing for power, because their position is the majority positions within the Democratic Party. And I feel like there's a large population of people that are currently disengaged and disorganized who might be able to be persuaded and brought to the left if they saw us actually achieving change in the real world. A lot of people are cynical and therefore apolitical. But if we were actually making the world measurably better and they could see it, they would become activated politically. it would help retard some of the cynicism against the idea that we can do anything to make the world a better place. Like the Zoran effect proves my point, right? Like DSA in New York City doubled in size from Zoran Mamdani. Do you guys think that the people that are currently at DSA in New York City are the only people that would join DSA in New York City? Hell to the fucking no. They could probably get at least 5 times bigger than what they are now at absolute maximum capacity, fully organized. And like, if we get DSA to like say 500,000 members, then we can literally win anything, right? We'll have like millions upon millions of dollars, $100 million that we could plow into races every year in a sustainable way. Why do you think AIPAC is so strong? AIPAC is so strong because they have all the Zionists in America. There are more democratic socialists in America than there are dedicated Zionists. But the Zionists are all fully organized. So that's why they can punch so much above their weight, because they're fully coordinated. They're fully centralized. They're fully able to exercise coherent and organized political power. We need to be able to do the same, but better. We have the numbers. Should I join National or LADSA? You should join LADSA. Which reminds me, this weekend, there is a LADSA meeting that I need you guys to go to.
It is simply to remind you that the crises facing this country are enormous and in many ways unprecedented. And what that means from a political perspective
hold on.
is that the only way
do some organizing
we can
right now.
effectively address these crises is through bold and decisive action. Establishment politics and the same old status quo policies are not going to work. That is precisely what got us here in the first place. And that is what we have got to move away from. All of which leads me to the Senate Democratic primary in Michigan on August 4th. And what's going on there is absolutely unbelievable. In that primary, Dr. Abdul El Sayed is the candidate that I and almost all progressives are supporting. He is running against an establishment Democrat, Congresswoman Haley Stevens. As a physician, Abdul knows how broken our healthcare system is and supports Medicare for all. He understands that we need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage and that we must make it easier for workers to join unions. He understands that at a time when the billionaires have never ever had it so good, we need progressive taxation in this country and that the billionaire class has got to start paying their fair share of tax. He understands that AI and robotics must work for ordinary people and not just make the big tech billionaires who own the industry even richer. He understands that instead of spending huge amounts of money on the Pentagon, we should start building the millions of units of low-income and affordable housing that this country desperately needs. He understands that we can create millions of good-paying jobs by transforming our energy system away from fossil fuels and into energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And very importantly, he understands that at a time when so many Americans are hurting, we should not be providing the extremist Netanyahu government in Israel with billions and billions of dollars in order to destroy the Palestinian people. Now that is what Abdul believes and what he is fighting for. And as a strong progressive, there really is nothing terribly surprising about that. That's what progressives believe. But here is what is surprising, shocking, and frankly disgusting. It turns out that Abdul El Sayed is not really running against Haley Stevens. He is running against AIPAC, the right-wing super PAC that supports the extremist Netanyahu government in Israel, as well as other billionaire-funded super PAC. Unbelievably, and I want you to please hear this, AIPAC and allied billionaire-funded super PACs have already spent nearly $50 million to defeat Abdul in the Democratic Senate primary. $50 million in one state, the state of Michigan, and there is still 3 weeks left to go. And that, it turns out, is almost 15 times all of the spending in support of Abdul. My friends, what you're looking at in Michigan right now is what a corrupt, billionaire-funded campaign finance system is all about. This is what billionaires buying election is all about. This is what the undermining of American democracy is all about. And let me say to my friends in Michigan, I would really urge you to vote for Abdul, even if you don't agree with everything that he says, because it is absolutely imperative that if we're going to save democracy, we have got to tell the billionaire class they cannot buy elections. So this is a lot more than what Abdul's position is or what Haley Stevens' position is. This is whether or not democracy survives or we let billionaires control our political process. So let us all stand together. Let us take on oligarchy. Let us take on a corrupt campaign finance system. Let's do everything that we can to make sure that Dr. Abdul El Sayed is the next United States Senator from Michigan. Thanks all very much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe in this, so how many of you guys are in LA? Who's the LA chatters? Who are LA chatters? Raise your hand if you're in Los Angeles County or the surrounding area. Misanthropic leftist, did you just say you? I might have to fucking ban you, I swear to God, dude. Here, I'm in LA. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, because right now, this Saturday, we're having the DSA LA 2026 local convention. I want all of you to sign up to this link right now. I'm dead fucking serious. Sign up to this link right fucking now. Sign up to this. Click this. Sign up. If you need childcare, let me know. Click this link. Register. Sign the fuck up. If you're already going to be there, sign up through this link. If you already RSVP'd, sign up through this link. Again, I don't care if you already RSVP'd. I don't care if you're already planning on going. Sign up through this link. If you need childcare, click the "We need childcare for the convention." Yes. Sign up immediately. Sign up immediately. Mike, I will personally watch it. I'm not saying that I will do anything with your kids. Sign the fuck up. I don't give a shit. If you're plausibly could be in the LA chapter, sign the fuck up. This is the DSA LA local convention. I just want you to click, like, link, join up. Be generic, shut the fuck up. I'm doing a thing right now. Stop distracting. All right, we're gonna be pushing this more because this is a very important convention and I want all of you there. I'll buy you a beer. I will take a selfie with you. I'll do whatever you want. Just click that link, sign up. If you meet me there and turns out you did sign up through that link, I'm gonna be pissed. All right? Is everybody on board? Is everybody good? Okay, click this fucking link. All right, we will be talking about this more tomorrow as well. All right, what else did I want to talk about? Oh my God. Okay, Noah Sampson put out a hilarious video. Apparently, Clavicular is being bribed by Israel. He went to Israel. This may be one of Noah Sampson's funniest fucking videos. I can't believe this is real. But no, it is. It's totally fucking real.
I found a weird guy. He's actually a really cool guy, though, and very...
Would it be foolish to leave one socialist tendency that I'm part of just to join my local DSA chapter? I see absolutely no reason why you can't just join your local DSA chapter. DSA is where the socialist movement in America is concentrated, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The socialist movement in LA is concentrated, or the socialist movement in the country is concentrated in DSA. Whether, like, it just is. I'm not saying you can't be part of other organizations. I'm sure there are DSA bylaws that I'm not aware of saying you can't be part of other certain things. But the point I'm trying to make for you is, you want to be part of a group of 100 or a group of 1 million? It's a big tent party. And ultimately, oh, not anymore. Oh, thank you. Here's the reality. If you're in my chat, join DSA to help me grow in power maniacally. Okay, I'm kidding, but you get my point. If you're watching me every fucking day, you probably agree with 95% of what I say. Am I going to be a member of a DSA caucus? Right now, I am currently thinking about being an independent because I want to be a bridge builder, not join a pre-existing caucus that I don't understand the dynamics of. I would rather try to be a bridge builder across caucuses than necessarily join a caucus. It's also funny how much the punk-ass bitch Clavicular has shrunk down since he was gotten off gear. Definition of a beta. I mean, he's probably damaged his balls. I mean, going on gear when you're like 20? That's insane.
Handsome and super sexy and super famous. His name's Clavicular. He's a looks-maxing streamer.
Mike, why don't you make your own caucus? Because that seems insane. I mean, listen, if in years I need to do something like that, it's not off the table. But I'm just saying that me trying to join DSA, you know, and get more involved with the internal DSA politics, and then immediately joining a caucus without understanding the nuances would be dumb.
Be found smashing his skull with a hammer to fix his jawline, singing Heil Hitler in the club, and taking trips to Israel, to Tel Aviv, where it seems like people really love him.
I love you very much, and I so appreciate you.
Hey, Clive, you're the king of Israel. I love you. Welcome to Israel, man.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm amazing, bro.
Nice
Welcome
to meet
home.
This Clavicular guy, he's a very famous streamer. He's getting profiled by GQ and the New York Times. And he decided, for one reason or another, to take a trip to Israel and do a...
God, man, they love boosting up these fucking right-wing influencers, dude. The mainstream media loves right-wing influencers. Notice that the only time they talk about me is to call me anti-Semitic streamer Mike from PA, right? Like, notice they're not doing any profiles on me. They're not like, wow, a very radical left-wing streamer is dominating the Twitch charts every morning. Like, that doesn't happen. Why do you think that doesn't happen? Because I'm not a fascist. So they don't give a fuck.
It's called an IRL live stream, where you just stream yourself walking around and doing stuff IRL. And it seems like part of the mission statement of this trip is to let everyone know how awesome Tel Aviv is.
Yeah, it's been a really good time so far. We've just been in Tel Aviv for the past few days, but everything's been great.
Dude, a lot of people hate Israel because they've never been here. So I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite part?
Honestly, the views, like the view from my hotel is magnificent of the Mediterranean Sea.
How the nightlife is so fun. How the Israeli women are so beautiful. And the Israeli house music is just bumping. The way he does this is very interesting. First of all, by finding a girlfriend. This young lady right here, she's just some lady who happens to run the social media pages of the IDF.
On the Instagram. I don't have it on my phone.
She's got the IDF login on her TikTok. You were in the IDF?
He was in the army.
Oh, shit.
I'm in Army. Now.
Where's your gun?
They didn't give me one.
They didn't give you a gun? Too short for a gun?
But I run the social media, which is really cool.
You do the IDF social media.
The trends.
Can you post me on it?
And this is why, like, this is unironically why people like Destiny are Israel supporters, because they're sociopaths, right? And all they care about is clout, right? All they care about is kind of self-aggrandizement, and they're so like unaware socially how repulsive that is. Like, being a public sociopath, to them a retweet is a retweet because they have no moral values or core, or they're just dumb as fuck. Greedy, evil rats.
Yes, that's right. All the young blonde women hanging out with them, they're all in the IDF too, participating in the mass killing of 80,000 people just a few miles south of where they're at. Clavicular and this nice Nazi soldier lady are having so many cute moments together.
No rating.
Why is everyone here American crazy?
They're not. There's really. What do you mean they're speaking Hebrew?
Some of the interactions this guy has with the women on the stream are just so brutal to watch. They're really difficult. I'm going to play some now, and I'm sorry.
That's hot. No, keep it there. You definitely. Are those real?
Why are you asking this question?
Because he's a socially awkward dipshit motherfucker. Imagine being too socially awkward for the IDF fucking influencer brigade. Jesus Christ, what a fucking freak.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I would have sex with you. Is that enough?
Most Israeli
It's a
coded
binary
streamer.
question. Would I fuck you or not? It's a 0 or a 1. It's binary. Would I fuck you or not? I'd fuck you in every single area of your body. I asked her. I was like, how did you get out of the IDF like army obligations? I was like, did you go like this? I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? She was in the army.
Oh. A lot of the discussion around Clavicular's trip to Israel is about whether or not he's being paid by the Israeli state to come promote Tel Aviv and make it seem normal. And there's some evidence to suggest this. I feel like one of the first people him meeting being a literal IDF soldier who runs the IDF social media accounts is a pretty big one. And that he apparently met with Topaz Luck, who is the top media consultant for Benjamin Netanyahu. But I think there's reason to be skeptical. In an interview, he implies that he is being paid by some mystery benefactor.
Are you self-funding this? Like, who paid for your flights? Who's paying for this?
Those are questions you don't want to ask.
Oh.
So that's confidential, you know?
Okay.
But right afterwards, he also says that he's just trying to make a clippable moment for his chat.
Okay, understood. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just said that because it's a viral clip. I actually don't even know.
I can guarantee you that there's no government involved. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm just. Yeah, no government money.
He admits to meeting with these big-time officials, but the reason he gives is that these officials wanted to know how Netanyahu could look smacks.
They said, hey, Bibi's been having a lot of trouble with humanizing himself to the younger generation. They think he's too old and out of shape. Would you want to do like a gym stream with him or something like that? And if I had any ideas about like his fitness thing, because he's getting into sports or something. And I was like, sure, man, I'd be happy to help.
So obviously it seems like, you know, not everything he says is 100% serious. He also fairly candidly asks about the $7,000 payments they're doing.
Don't they pay people $7,000 to like post for Israel? Is that true? How do I get that?
What are you talking about?
I thought that was like a campaign
Or in the stream, he makes multiple references to Gaza.
I swear this is the one place you can leave something and it won't get stolen.
You know, like, I have to say that I've always been a Clavicular hater. If you go on the Reaction podcast, we had a Clavicular episode, which is a shame that it's not being recommended. Where's my Reaction recommendation? What the fuck? Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. We had our Clavicular and looks maxing podcasts, and I have always proudly been a Clavicular hater. And I need you to understand that we called and understood and analyzed everything about this guy. Go check it out, chat. Took me too long to realize Clavicular and Nick Shirley were two different people. I don't even know what to say to that. Wait, did I close? Did I lose my Noah Samson video? What the why is it not going back? Okay, there we go.
What about Gaza?
That's the next stop.
Oh yeah, we're
Talking about objects, you know.
We're
like
going to
a
the
phone.
Gaza Strip too. Well, we should do it after we get out of this entrapment. This is the Gaza Strip.
That's also something I assume would be
It's so funny. Guys, did you know they're killing a bunch of kids like a mile from here? Isn't that funny?
on the blacklist of things to discuss if it was a strict Israeli propaganda trip. Shira Braun, the IDF soldier lady, no relation to Eva Braun, I think, spiritually though, definitely. But she was actually punished by the IDF and removed from her post for hanging out with Clavicular. And the reason for that is Clavicular's Heil Hitler thing.
This was Clavicular 6 months ago, partying in a club in Miami to Heil Hitler with people like Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, etc., etc. Now he's in Israel.
Which is something interesting. It's kind of
it looks like he might not give a fuck about anything, and he's a amoral sociopath. You know, the typical person who likes and supports Israel. Just a thought.
Posed a bit of a rift in the Israeli mindset. The older generation is more averse to the Heil Hitler thing.
What's wrong with apologizing about singing Heil Hitler?
No, this interview is over.
Just apologize.
Why don't you apologize to me? Why don't you apologize?
I need to apologize?
Why don't you apologize to me for wasting my time?
Why are you afraid to apologize?
Obviously, these news anchors don't actually really care about genocidal maniacs because all of them are that just for Palestinians. But the younger generation is seemingly willing to look past it because they know just how bad the public image situation is for Israel right now, worse than it's ever been. So they'll take what they can get.
The thing is, we can't ignore that this guy has enormous. I don't like it, but he is one of the leading voices with the next generation online, where we are getting crushed in the digital war.
Clavicular told me the trip wasn't political. Israel was simply trending, and therefore, in his words, an undeniably good idea. And he also said that the country was nothing like what people are saying it is on TikTok. And what exactly has impressed him the most? The women. All these women are good looking, he told me. So far, he spent the trip shopping in Tel Aviv, partying at a beachfront club, and is planning an event at a...
It's just so fucking creepy to look at. It's so fucking creepy to be like a weird... Like, obviously, there's always a bit of a moral question about hedonism in a world with such inequality and unfairness and misery, right? It's always a little bit... Whenever you're reminded of, like, the people that are out there suffering, you know? It's something that's like my one intrusive thought when I'm like omega hedonistic. Like if I'm going out to Korean barbecue, right? And I'm fat as fuck, it'll be an intrusive thought. And I'll be like, damn, like how lucky are we? Right? But to do it like within earshot of the bombs takes a whole nother level of just inhuman depravity.
Local gym for Monday. Honestly, I think that this is a pretty progressive outlook in which he is an equal opportunity partier. He says he's there because it's kind of fun, and the women are beautiful, according to him.
God, see what I mean? Like, the pro-Israeli propagandists are like, you can Heil Hitler. And the reason why they're like that, here's what you need to understand about the Israeli, like the fascists. Hitler he's not a threat anymore. Hitler has been dead since 1945. Nazism is not a threat to Israel, right? So as far as they're concerned, they don't give a shit if you say Heil Hitler. They don't even care if you're really anti-Semitic. As long as you're not trying to constrain Israel's genocide, then they're willing to work with you. Because fascists are like that. They are uber pragmatists. Whatever gives them power in the moment, it doesn't matter if there's an intellectual inconsistency or contradiction or whatever the fuck else.
So again, he said
they don't hate Hitler for what he did. They hate him for what he did it to, for who he did it to. Exactly. That's exactly right. They are purely approaching this from a in-group, out-group lens.
Not about politics. It's about having a good time. And he says he's having one in Israel.
And that's another thing Clavicular keeps referring to over and over is the fact that he's not a political guy and that this trip is not a political statement.
Anything in Israel or relating to Israel is going to be political, but the women in Tel Aviv are absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's really just me traveling to a different place, like having a good time. It's nothing political about it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
When clearly he's aware of what Israel's doing. Like he understands the problem, at least at a subconscious level, but for some reason thinks if he's randomly alluding to making yourself look hotter, then that just cancels itself out and none of that is actually happening. And he's aware that showing people how awesome Israel is doing them a huge favor. But ultimately, if the Israeli government actually did pay for Clavicular's trip to Israel, then that's a very good thing because it shows just how desperate they are, that they'll throw money at something that obviously does not have any real significant propaganda effect.
We came here to explore Tel Aviv and kind of show that it's a really fun city, and you know, because there's a lot of misconceptions about it. Like, you know, when you look up on TikTok about Mykonos or Ibiza or all the frequented summer spots for the popular European summer, you see a bunch of tourist things like, you know, clubs and great things about the city to do. But when you look up Israel, obviously it's just a lot of stuff about, like, you know, war and stuff like that. When the reality is it's a very fun city. So good to show everyone that, you know, this is the real reality of Tel Aviv.
You know, aren't we?
No, this is literally what Ethan Klein wanted to do. This is what Ethan Klein wanted to do. This must be a program, because this is exactly what Ethan Klein was like. I'm going to show you the real diverse Israel, right? Somebody bring me that clip. Somebody bring me that clip, because it's word for word what Clavicular just said. Please, my Ethan Klein haters. My Ethan Klein haters, please bring me that link. Just real quick, I want to point it out how similar the technology is.
Always saying that we would love to bring AOC or Mamdani or Bella Hadid to Israel so they could see the reality with their own eyes.
Are you fucking insane? Are you fucking insane? First of all, they would be shot. That's number one. Number two, they would have to be absolute, like, you can't even walk around Jerusalem without getting spit on. Like, that's the, you know, if you are a visible Muslim or a visible Christian, they get spat on. They groped and assaulted Greta Thunberg.
Do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, like crazy, you know, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you.
Okay, this clip has like war crime clips in it.
You guys, how beautiful, how multicultural, how like free it feels for people, or just it's a beautiful place. It is. It's one of the most diverse places I've ever been. We're planning to go to Israel in June with my parents and all the kids. It's going to be such a great trip, and I'm actually really excited to go there. I want to show you guys.
You haven't been there in so long.
It's been a long fucking time. What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel.
Thanks, Tim.
About Mykonos or Ibiza or all the frequented summer spots for the popular European summer, You see a bunch of tourist things like, you know, clubs and great things about the city to do. But when you look up Israel, obviously it's just a lot of stuff about, like, you know, war and stuff like that. When the reality is it's a very fun city. So good to show everyone that, you know, this is the real reality of Tel Aviv.
You know, aren't we always saying that we would love to bring AOC or Mamdani or Bella Hadid to Israel so they could see the reality with their own eyes? So why wouldn't we take that opportunity? You know, in fact, if Nick Fuentes, if Hassan Piker, even if Zoran Mamdani was willing to come to Israel, I would roll out the red carpet and lead that tour myself. But the truth is, they always decline to come, because deep down they already know the truth. And they know that seeing Israel firsthand undermines the narrative that their platforms depend on.
The issue the world has with Israel isn't that Tel Aviv is boring or scary from war. Nobody wants to go to Tel Aviv. It doesn't need tourism promo. The issue is the genocide thing, the mass slaughter, the starvation facilitated at the hands of all of the people in this video. And if the goal is to show that Israel's like a progressive place, then the fact that Clavicular is there and likes it, it's not super great evidence, I feel like.
I would have sex with you. Is that enough of in every single area of your body?
And so I feel like if Israel brought him here and because they love him, that's not good. That's not a good thing for your country. If the people that love genocide love you, that's bad for you. But it will boost his, social media numbers. That's how it is now. You just do crazy shit, do controversial shit, and keep it moving. And you make money. So I don't know what to tell you. That's what I found this week. And now you know about it. And I hope you enjoy that piece of content. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Fascists think talk of SA is flirting.
Am I gonna? Whoa! Did you say am I? No. What? How could it be that if obviously you say?
That society, like Israeli society, is fucking the most fucking weird, creepy society of all time, dude. Like depraved shit. When Clavicular, who is hiling Hitler, is now looking at you like you're a fucking freak. Perhaps you're a fucking freak. Jesus Christ. She said rate, not rape. No, she said rape. She said rape. Or did she say rate me? Okay, sorry. I was presenting it. Okay. People think she said rate. Okay, fair enough. Oh, the clip was cut. Oh, the chatter got tricked and they tricked me? Fuck. All right, well, depraved. Thanks for correcting me, chat. All right, let us move on to the next topic, which is, how long is this? Holy shit, 51 minutes? Jules. Far left podcaster Jennifer Welsh blasts homeschooling as trickle-down stupidity and fundamental crazy Christian... Bro, my queen. I mean, she's right. Homeschooling should be banned. Homeschooling should be banned. This is one of my strongest political takes. Children should be socialized around adults and other children that are not relatives. They should have to engage in like a common cultural experience of the process of education. They should not be cloistered off with their fucking family 24/7. I was homeschooled. She is absolutely correct. Yeah, exactly. Private schools should not be able to charge tuition. In Germany, the AfD Saxony wants to make it possible in Germany to be homeschooled. Wow, I can't believe the far-right fascist party wants people to be able to brainwash their children into all sorts of kooky-ass bullshit. I wonder. All right, this might be a little bit better. Who the fuck watches Hassan? Hassan is my goat and is showing me what revolutionary optimism truly looks like. His work directly impacts my work in immigration. The cruelty of this fascist administration knows no bounds. Hassan's advocacy makes the world a safer place. My cousins went to some weird religious school and unironically think the world is 9,000 years old or whatever. I think it's usually 6,000, right? I have done a summer clay camp this year, and the 2 homeschooled kids that came have no ability to socialize with the other kids. They just sit quietly and make Christian art. Oh my God, that's scary.
Anna is an immigration lawyer who is seeing firsthand what ICE and this administration's immigration policy is doing to those seeking refuge.
Bro, oh my God, the profile of the Hassan Abi heads already, like job havers, members active in their own community, people who have definitely gone outside, as opposed to like the Asmongold video was literally people just being like,
with a lot of the chatters in the community that have been long-term communities, and I had one chatter message me the other day, and he was just like, oh, everything sucks, you know, nobody's doing anything, and you know, I just had to remind him that we have to have revolutionary optimism, and for myself to keep my mental sanity, I have to be delusional. I have to think that things are going to get better, because
that's not how you should. Okay, listen, I love her so much. But we're presenting ourselves to the uninitiated. We should not call ourselves delusional. Okay, revolutionary optimism, good. Delusional, bad. Okay, like for my own mental sanity, I need to be delusional is perhaps not the best way to present it to the uninitiated. Like, I get you're joking, but
especially, you know, immigration, I could tell you story, you know, we could have like 3-hour conversations about how cruel this administration.
Anna is an immigration lawyer who is seeing firsthand what ICE and this administration's immigration policy is doing to those seeking refuge.
Bro, oh my God, the profile of the Hasanabi heads already, like job havers, members active in their own community, people who have definitely gone outside, as opposed to like the Asmongold video was literally people just being like,
with a lot of the chatters in the community that have been long-term communities, and I had one chatter message me the other day, and he was just like, oh, everything sucks, you know, nobody's doing.
I think the thing that really is funny to me is like, you can tell how little actual emotion Asmongold has, how much of a botted and propped up guy his content actually is, because when you make content about Asmongold and you're not in the bot network, it doesn't hit, right? So in a month, it gets 20K views. And then in 24 hours, the Hassan video already has almost 10,000 more views. Like, this is botted to hell. Like, Asmongold is a bot. He's a bot. So like, you can make videos making fun of Asmongold and you'll get maybe like 20 to 50 people that come to like yell at you, which is fucking nothing. It's crazy.
Spots in this production. Alan.
For the first few years, it's probably only really after he became big.
Alan, we spoke for about 40 minutes and seemed like a very lonely man. He has people who knows from work, but all of his friends are people he knows online.
I have very small friend group of true friends that I've been with for 20 plus years, but
you mean your high school friends,
the only friends I really have.
Shut in.
Alan says he lives like Asmongold, a fairly gross individual. I think, you know, he made jokes at the time about having a dead rat.
European, lives in filth, no friends.
That would smell when the sun came up, so he knew it was time to wake up.
The thing is, I used to use a dead rat as an alarm clock, actually, for my stream, because basically what happened was whenever the sun would come up, it would start cooking the corpse of the rat.
And he had bits of blood smeared on his wall from his poor hygiene, and his room was relatively disgusting.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I essentially live the same way. I can see...
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing, you disgusting filthmonger?
What, 5 cans, empty cans right now, 2 coffee bottles, there's clothes on the floor, you know, what's the name? I'm a messy person, so I don't judge him for his hygiene.
I don't take pride living in garbage or not. It's simply something that I don't care about.
He lives in squalor and hates immigration, which he says doesn't make him a bad person. It's because he's Australian.
What's that place with the kangaroos? They couldn't get rid of them. What's it called? Not Arizona, it's something like that. Australia!
Things like the Great Replacement Theory / replacing the population obviously appeals a little bit more to me because I believe it is a possibility for us, unfortunately.
But he's also pro-fascism.
I think, once again, as you said, the pro-fascism. But once again, in Australia, in certain regards, I still believe 100% we need fascism.
And Asmongold was just there for him. He watched him multiple hours a day while he was working. Asmongold was just part of his life.
I am very different to a lot of normal people. His political takes, in a sense, I probably agreed with, say, 90% of them. In a sense, he became a news source.
In a world where streamers were standing in like fancy houses and being superstars, there was Asmongold sitting in his filth, talking about how he just wants to play World of Warcraft all day and hang out. The money and the fame never got to him. He's still the same disgusting gremlin that he was when he was still making just a few guides for a few $1,000s.
See, but he doesn't have to wear the I'm holier than thou veneer because of obviously he lives in squalor. Doesn't turn around and say, you know, I'm better than you.
After his 2019 explosion, Asmongold started to diversify into different spaces. He co-founded OTK with a few of his friends, and Mythic Talent, a talent agency. He started a podcast and really started to expand outside of just his niche, and really exploded in 2022 during the Amber Heard trial, when all of these commentary streamers were reacting every single day to what was going on with Amber Heard because they desperately needed content and they didn't want to have to think for themselves.
Here we go. Let's do it. Oh my God. This is just, this is bad.
What amazing commentary these guys provided. They got such legal insights. All right, fuck these people. Let's talk about something that actually matters. Like, for example, that missiles are raining down all over
all right, welcome to the show.
America on American bases in the Iran war. I could only do so much of the content before I'm like, all right, I'm good. You know, like, I did Clavicular. We got that video. I was starting to talk about Asmongold, but then I'm like, can we, like, you know what happens, chat? I start looking over onto my other monitor because I'm so fucking bored. I don't know how people get involved in the drama. Like, they're not interesting enough. They're not smart enough. They're not interesting enough. It's so banal. There's like a million hoarders like Asmongold. He's not even unique enough to be interesting.
Everybody, hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. And I can't keep up, bro. I cannot keep up. It is madness. It is chaos. It is bedlam. It is mayhem. It is whatever other word you want to use to describe this chaotic hellscape that we're living in. But in just a second, all hell has broken loose yet again in the Middle East as ballistic missiles are now raining on U.S. bases, and Iran has ended all talks because of Donald Trump's inability to stay true to an agreement along with Benjamin Netanyahu. We also have Trump in a total frenzy announcing war crimes on live TV as if he's like ordering a sandwich. Okay, I mean, this guy is so out of his own head, it is insane to witness. Later on, we have Trump panicking as 3 separate federal judges drop fatal verdicts that just one after the other, massive L after massive L after massive L. You do not want to miss that at all. Also later on, Gavin Newsom cucks himself to Israel in a viral humiliation. And I have to say, this stuff is beginning to catch up with him, bro. I don't know. I haven't seen him lead a poll in a while, and I think it's because of stuff like this. And then also, a Democratic socialist goes on Fox News and smacks around the Fox host. That's glorious. And Joe Rogan absolutely ruined comedy, as I will prove to you today, because there's this new right-wing comedian, which is the culmination of everything the Rogan sphere has vomited out over the past decade. So we'll talk about all that and more. You guys know the drill, man. Do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, there's real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read. That wouldn't be possible without you guys giving $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month, or tipping with that thanks button on YouTube. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for keeping this show going. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. I believe we have Joy Reid coming on this week. Really looking forward to that. And then also go sub to Corin's World. And today is my boy Corin's birthday. Everybody go wish him a happy birthday. I just tweeted about it. And by the way, the best birthday present you can give Corin is to go subscribe to Corin's World. That is the best birthday present. I mean, if we could gain him like 4,000 subs today, oh my God, that would like make his day. So go hook a brother up with a sub. And without any further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, like I said, I'm running out of ways to describe to you just how screwed not only we are, but the entire global economy is, given the current state of affairs in the Middle East. People really don't get it. They really haven't wrapped their mind around it yet, okay? So now we have the U.S. and Iran just in an all-out fucking free-for-all bombing everything in sight. Now, obviously, civilian infrastructure is on the table. This thing has escalated out of control. We are literally a pube hair's length away from basically ruining all of the oil and gas infrastructure in the Middle East.
I thought we had destroyed Iran's ability to launch missiles. Yeah, isn't that funny that yesterday Donald Trump said they we got all their missiles, they can't, maybe they have a little, and now they're raining down on U.S. bases.
Would mean it would be at least a decade to get those things back online.
Do I think Kyle needs to apologize for his handling of the Plattner scandal? I'm pretty sure he told him to drop out, right? Like, I'm pretty sure he told him to drop out when the sex assault stuff came out. Same thing with personally, I think they went, Plattner was aligned with them politically, non-socialist kind of progressive-y guy who was good on Israel. I mean, it is what it is, like I didn't see him doubling down and attacking the victim, right? And like, I think if you were pretty much silent on Plattner for the entire year and then only after he drops out do you want to like posture, that's a little odd to me. I think it was pretty obvious, like what everybody was thinking, which is Plattner was anti-Israel. He was the progressive choice, critical support. Yeah, he's got red flags and there are warning signs in his background, but we have faith that, we believed him when he said nothing was bad was going to come out. I even mentioned when I was criticizing the people for criticizing Chris Rabb, I criticized Kyle and I criticized Crystal when they were going after Chris Rabb for not endorsing Plattner. And I defended Chris Rabb, and I said, if he had a sexual assault, he wouldn't be viable. Right? Like I even called that out as if they had a credible sexual assault allegation, if he was found liable, he wouldn't be viable. And when that happened, he was no longer viable. So, I mean, I think I don't know. These are the same people that will tell you they were on the Gretchen Whitmer train or the Andy Bashir train, right? Like, I don't think people are very good at making analyses of politicians. And I think everybody who critically supported Plattner did so for the reasons of defeating Susan Collins. And when it became clear that he was a person who is a liar, a predator, a dangerous person, everybody turned on him. And I think that the lesson to learn from Plattner is we need to have an actual program to recruit candidates for well before, instead of just trying to rely on virality. Like people were talking about Grant Plattner because he was going viral. They weren't talking about him because of like any other reason. There's a lot of really great people running for elected office around the country that get no attention. And, the people that are posturing and preening over Graham Plattner, I don't see them doing any work, right, to promote those people. So I have a hard time taking anybody seriously who talks about Plattner. At this point, he's been out for like over a week. He's irrelevant. His career's destroyed. He's been dropped. What are you actually trying to achieve except your own personal aggrandizement at that point, And I think that we could all do better in the future. And I think everybody's acknowledged that, right? Like Emma Vigeland has, I think Crystal Ball has, I criticized Ryan Grimm for his reporting and he deleted the post, like a lot of these people have been working on the left for decades and they got tricked by a liar, but ultimately I think they're good-hearted people trying to do the right thing. And maybe it's weird to be normal. Maybe it's weird for me to be normal. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe like the fact is they made a mistake. I make mistakes. As long as you admit it, they're not acting like TYT, right? And doubling down. They're saying this guy sucks. Get rid of him, right? I don't think it makes sense to try to trash people who have been a part of our movement for so long. You know what I mean? Who have shown themselves to be valuable because they didn't know about it. They weren't covering it up. But when it came out, they spoke out against it. What more, what are we trying to say? It's a distraction. Nobody supported Plattner for any reason, but because he was pro-Medicare for all, anti-establishment, and anti-Israel, right? Like, that's why. And when he's not viable, he's not viable.
So I'm not kidding when I say we are very close to just like casually ending modern civilization in the sense that oil and gas is the lifeblood that keeps modern civilization going. And because of Trump's idiotic decisions, we may have like a permanent reduction in the availability of fuel, which will spike not only gas prices, but also grocery prices and basically grind the economy to a halt. Okay. So First, let me show you this. Let's start here. The joy of Bahrainis as Iranian drone strikes U.S. position on their land. So this is what's been happening. U.S. bases have been getting barbecued for days straight now. Look at this video. Here we go. Shots like that have been hitting U.S. bases time after time for days now. Okay, take a look at this one. New footage shows 5 direct ballistic missile hits on the U.S. Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan last night. So here's a U.S. air base in Jordan also getting lit up. And what you're also going to see here is an attempt to intercept the ballistic missiles. And I believe some of them work, but some of them fail. And the ballistic missiles get through and they light the base up. Watch this. Damn. Okay, so let me lay this out for you. Dropside News says, U.S. Central Command says it completed a 7-hour wave of strikes on Iran, ending at 10 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, hitting dozens of military targets near the Strait of Hormuz and along Iran's coast. CENTCOM said fighter aircraft, drones, and naval vessels targeted Iranian missile and drone sites, naval capabilities, and coastal defense systems. The operation began 1 hour before the U.S. resumed its naval blockade of vessels traveling to or from Iranian ports. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper separately accused Iran of attacking 7 commercial ships over the past week, leaving nearly a dozen civilian crew members killed, missing, or wounded, and launching dozens of missiles and drones toward neighboring Gulf countries. Now, by the way, let me pause to point out here yet again, all of these ships that Iran has attacked in the Strait of Hormuz, they got multiple warnings beforehand. And the reason why Iran ended up attacking them is because those ships with U.S. backing are in violation of the Memorandum of Understanding. The Memorandum of Understanding says you have to go through the pre-approved route that Iran shows everybody because the rest of the strait is mined, okay? And also now Iran and Oman control the strait. And so under the Memorandum of Understanding, the U.S. cannot take these other routes. Well, the U.S. has been flouting the Memorandum of Understanding and taking these other routes, putting everybody at risk too, by the way, I should also point out, because like I said, the rest of the areas are mined. And so they got their forewarning. They didn't listen, probably because the U.S. military said, no, you're going to continue. You're not going to listen to the warning. And then they ended up getting blown up. That's point number one. Point number two is they say, oh, we hit all these different military targets. Well, I'm about to show you in a little bit. That is not true. They've hit plenty of non-military targets, as you'll see. Okay, according to Axios, Donald Trump held a Situation Room meeting Tuesday to discuss a major expansion of the U.S. military campaign against Iran. The sources said the meeting focused on plans for devastating strikes on strategic targets across Iran beyond the current operations around the Strait of Hormuz. The meeting came after U.S. forces launched another wave of strikes on Iran, carrying out a 7-hour operation that hit dozens of military targets near the Strait of Hormuz and along Iran's southern coast, including missiles and drone sites, naval assets, and coastal defenses, according to CENTCOM. So, as we have now multiple rounds of bombing orgies that Trump approved, okay, as that's going on, they have a meeting in the Situation Room where Trump goes, let's bomb more. Let's do another attack. Let's do a different kind of attack. I love to keep attacking. We should keep attacking. And by the way, all the people, so-called nominally anti-war people, were in this meeting fucking nodding along and agreeing with Donald Trump, like J.D. Vance, who pretends to be anti-war. Then the second he gets behind closed doors, that's a great idea, sir. I'll be your little cuck boy, sir. Absolutely. Let's murder more Iranians, sir. That's what's going on. All right. Breaking. Iran hit another tanker this morning in the Strait of Hormuz, the fourth in just a few hours. So Trump came out the other day and posted that we're going to control the Strait from now on because we're the guardian angel of the Middle East. We're going to control it. And also, we're going to charge people 20% to use the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Marco Rubio and everybody in the regime had been saying, nobody can charge anything to use the Strait of Hormuz or any strait. The waterways are guaranteed open. This is the U.S. Superpower guarantee, free and open maritime trade. So they go from saying,
if a nuke is used, life as we know it is over. It depends on what you mean by that, right? Like, if you mean that we're all going to die, right? If you mean like we're all going to die and it's the end of humanity, no. If you mean the nuclear taboo is broken and the odds of more nuclear weapons exploding around conflicts around the world goes up, and that's going to be horrible, then yes. Don't think that our lives, like one of the mistakes that people make, and it's a very frustrating mistake, is the belief that there's going to be some grand cathartic explosion and end. Life isn't like that, right? Even throughout when the Black Death hit, it swept throughout Eurasia and Africa and killed a third of the people. Eventually it went away. You know, the world was changed, but humanity and society grinded on. Life will continue no matter how bad it gets. You're not going to have the catharsis of some big explosion and then everything's just over, because what's really happening is you're fantasizing about your anxiety going away. That's my personal opinion on doomsday talk, is that when people are talking and fantasizing about doomsday, what they're really fantasizing about is the end of their anxiety. You know, the end of the frustration and rigor and exhaustion of struggle. They just think we'll fail and it'll all be over. No, it won't. There is no such thing. It's going to keep on grinding. It's going to keep on getting slightly worse unless we win and we make it better. So you want your anxiety to go down? Go do something that makes people's lives better.
Everything's free and open on the water.
Right back.
And that's a guarantee to, actually, we're going to charge 20%. That's what we're going to do. And so a bunch of people got in Trump's ear and they said, hey, you fucking jackass, that'll tank the oil markets even more. We already have a supply shortage, which is about to get a hell of a lot worse. And you want to add 20% on top of an already struggling oil market. Are you an idiot? Are you trying to destroy the global economy? And also, we were just running around telling everybody, we're guaranteeing open trade. And now you say, we're going to charge more than what Iran and Oman were going to charge to use the strait. So again, he shoots himself right in his tiny little mushroom cock, okay? Makes himself look like an idiot. And then he has to come out and clean it up, presumably because literally everybody in his orbit was like, look, we know we're all your little cuck boys and we agree with everything you say and do, but this even crosses a line because this has like the IQ of a potato. Okay, this decision has the IQ of a potato. So he says, oil is flowing like never before thanks to the awesome power of the United States military. Hilarious. The opposite is true. A special salute to Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath. Oh my God. They're doing a self-suck-off session after they're destroying the global economy and plunging us into World War III. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, and Commander of the U.S. Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper. Because of them and all members of the most powerful military anywhere in the world, by far, the Strait of Hormuz is open to all ship traffic except for Iran. That's all total bullshit. You can see it now that there's like no traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. But to the extent there's any ship, like the odd ship here and there that get through, it's an Iranian ship. It's Iran or its allies. And that is because of their lying, violent, malicious leadership, which is taking them down the path of total destruction. We will therefore have a full blockade, but only ships coming to an end to and from Iranian ports or carrying anything that have to do with Iranian cargo. Based on highly productive conversations with Middle East leadership, I have decided to replace the 20% United States reimbursement fee with trade and investment deals that various Gulf states will be making in the United States. So in other words, oh, did I say 20% charge? Oops, everybody told me I'm a fucking moron, and I realized I got to U-turn out that bitch. Okay, humiliating. Here we go. Hormuz letter says, breaking. Iran announces its full withdrawal from the Memorandum of Understanding due to U.S. violations, with Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister, Garibaldi, saying Iran will exercise full sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, no matter the costs, including Oman's half, adding that while Oman is normally one of two countries controlling a strait, for national security reasons, Iran must control all of the strait during wartime now, per Tasnim. Okay, so basically what that means is Whatever sort of minor concessions Iran made before to accommodate the U.S., now they're saying, fuck all those accommodations. We're done. We're not even going to work with Oman to run the strait. Now just we're going to run the strait.
And I think like this is like a big problem because I don't know how this is viable long term. Like the world has like I don't know what to say. Like I don't know how to explain it. The world before the Iran war, the Gulf was like a wealthy area. It was authoritarian, but it was relatively developed and wealthy. You know, it was corrupt but functional. But now, like, it's like a war zone. Like the entire region is a war zone. You know, I don't know how you accept that. Does anyone know where the chart Mike shows sometimes shows people lean left but consider themselves moderate? I have tweeted so many things on that. You can find it in my media. It's on my Twitter account. And like, this is what is happening. This is what Iran just released. Iran is launching, look at these missiles. Do you guys remember when the NBC anchor was like, the beauty of our weapons? I wonder if he'll say the same to this.
Detail, we see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these two U.S. Navy vessels in the Eastern Mediterranean. I am tempted to quote the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons. And they are beautiful pictures of fearsome armaments making what is for them a brief flight over to this airfield. What did they hit?
That is...
And like... that is the way that that an American media covers it. So I guess I wonder if Brian Williams feels the same beauty. Do you feel the same beauty as they fly towards U.S. troops who are hurt?
We begin with breaking news from the Middle East, where the Associated Press is reporting an Iranian missile attack on a Saudi airbase has left U.S. troops hurt and damaged several planes. A U.S. official tells the AP the attack happened at the Prince Sultan Air Base. The official says the attack involved a combination of Iranian missiles and unmanned drones. We're also learning from that source that the strike damaged a number of refueling aircrafts. There's no word on how many troops.
So do you get my point? You get my point, chat, to be like, oh yeah, the missiles and the rockets, they're hitting. I guess the beauty of the weapons starts to go away when you're on the receiving end. Now, that specific report was from a couple months ago, but the United States and the corporate media engage in a conspiracy to black that out. They banned commercial satellite companies from providing data. So we don't know. But what we do know is that the U.S. military is fleeing Iraq.
After 23 years, our military will leave Iraq. They will be gone by September. President Trump says Iran is weak enough for Iraq's security forces to protect their own country. Retired Navy SEAL Mike Sorelli joins me now. You agree with that decision? Out of Iraq after 23 years?
I do. It's about time. And this...
That's why it's almost like, unironically, the U.S. empire being destroyed by Donald Trump and all the conservatives having to hold the L. It's like a real Nixon goes to China moment. Because could you imagine if this was Kamala Harris and the U.S. military getting chased out of Iraq under her?
Does not signal surrender. However, we have to take two cases from history into account. One, when we removed troops the first time in 2011, and ISIS was able to stand up and reconstitute. And then, of course, Afghanistan, where we lost all eyes, ears, and any infrastructure whatsoever. So it all depends on the diplomatic, the information or intelligence, and sort of counterterrorism cells that we leave behind, our eyes, our ears, and our strike capability. Ultimately, it comes down to wanting the ability to identify if ISIS is reconstituting, if Iranian-backed militias are becoming a threat in our ability to kill either before they become a threat to our American citizens. So I don't take this as a bad decision. It's a good decision given the architecture we leave behind to maintain visibility and intelligence.
Does it make the president look good because he's walking away from an endless war? He's said that right from the beginning of his presidency. He's not going to get into endless wars. Well, it looked good when he walks away from Iraq, right? Good PR?
It's good PR. Additionally, with what he's doing in Europe and bringing some of the troops home or repositioning or redeploying them to Poland, this is in line with what he briefed. I understand the Iranian war sort of throws a contradiction there, but ultimately it's what's going on in the region, especially with Hezbollah. And the recent request to remove Israeli troops.
Yes.
The push to remove Israeli troops from Lebanon.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that. President Trump has reportedly told Benjamin Netanyahu to move Israel's forces out of Syria and out of Lebanon. You think Netanyahu's going to do that? And what does that say about our relationship with Israel?
One, we're not abandoning Israel. And I think if he sees Trump's strategy, he'll understand. He's taking a softer touch with Lebanon and handing that autonomy back to the Lebanese government. But what he's doing is narrowing the battlefield. He wants all regional actors focused on Iran and not fighting 6 different wars which Iran can sort of escalate or exploit. And there is beauty in this, especially if Syria and al-Shara comes into the equation. Now, Syria is not going to send troops into Lebanon, but we have decimated their ability to be resupplied. We've isolated them. Now, Syria has the ability, because Tehran, it's essentially reversing 40 years of Iranian strategy, using Syria as a logistical hub to support.
All that's happening, and by the way, all the most popular politicians in Iraq are all allies with Iran. Like, did you guys know that? Like, the Iraqi politics are dominated by pro-Iranian politicians. So the U.S. leaving Iraq is a total victory for Iran.
Apply Hezbollah. But if Syria cuts off all their logistics,
I'm really struck on that Cohen reference. I've been making a conscious effort to not chat because for real, it's not good for me. But Jesus, God, this country is illiterate. Like, I know famously conservatives don't get born in the USA either. But quoting Cohen is like thinking Gravity's Rainbow was pro-missiles. Just fuck, man. Yes! Are you surprised that our centrist warmongers are stupid? It's like when I tell people one of my favorite movies is Starship Troopers, right? Like that's one of my favorite pieces of satirical media. 99 times out of 100, if somebody else likes Starship Troopers, they're a moronic fascist. It's the same way with that shit, man. Or Born in the USA or any of this other shit. You can't make satirical content because conservatives are too dumb to get it. Why are oil prices not skyrocketing? They are. They have actually skyrocketed quite a bit. If you're wondering why aren't they above $100 a barrel, I think they're probably going to head that way. As you can see, they were down at 71 in the past couple days. In the last week, they're up to 84. I mean, going from 71.57 to 85 roughly in a week is that's a lot. That's a big price increase. Now we've been kind of chilling around 85 because of, people think that Donald Trump is going to make big threats. The Iranians are going to back down. People don't want to believe it. Like Trump is set to deliver an election-focused national address tonight. Here's what to know. This speech marks Trump's first formal address since April when he claimed the Iran war, which continues now, was nearly over. Iran warns U.S. Hormuz red line, says it will retaliate if Trump carries out threats. We are so fucking cooked, man.
Garibaldi said that the U.S. not only violated the agreement, but completely dismantled it, especially with the naval blockade on Iranian ports, ships, and customers that has taken effect 1 hour ago. Garibaldi adds Iran will never request negotiations with the United States. Will never request negotiations with the United States. Trump and Netanyahu fucked this up so bad. The axis of Epstein fucked this up so bad that Iran is saying, not only are we not going to talk to you now, we are never going to talk to you as long as you're in power. Why is that? We simply can't trust you. You've lied to us about absolutely everything. Keep that in mind for the next segment that we do, where Trump accuses Iran of lying about everything. That's fucking rich. Oh, is that rich? So this is what happens, guys. Now our word means nothing on the global stage. Our word means absolutely, positively nothing. And that's disastrous. You know, we pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. We pulled out of the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear agreement. We pulled out of agreements that Trump himself negotiated, economic agreements like with Canada, for example. Trump a number of times said, let's have negotiations, let's have peace talks, then invites somebody and murders them when they show up. Yeah, of course, the world eventually is going to catch on to this and be like, how about you go fuck yourself? Look at this. Iran appears to be trying to shut down a lifeline of the global oil market. This is super important, guys. Pay attention here. The shuttle tankers that are running from Persian Gulf terminals, mostly UAE ports, to the Gulf of Oman, where they rendezvous with other tankers in ship-to-ship operations. So there are some interesting tricks that are being used to try to go around the Strait of Hormuz being shut. Okay, this is one of those tricks. And Iran is now going, okay, you want to play hardball, you fucking asshole? We can play hardball too. And so now they're trying to shut down that lifeline of the global oil market. Hormuz report says, breaking, Iran threatens to target the UAE's Fujairah pipeline and Saudi Arabia's East-West pipeline if the U.S. blockade continues, warning that not a single drop of oil or gas will be exported from the region and declaring either everyone exports or no one does. According to Tasnim, Tehran said any continued U.S. blockade on Iranian energy exports would be met by strikes on alternative regional export routes, specifically naming the UAE's Fujairah pipeline and Saudi Arabia's East-West pipeline. So in other words, every single little trick that was used to go around the Strait of Hormuz being closed. Like, you can't really make up for the strait being closed because we don't have the ability to export the same amount of oil through these alternate ways, right? But they were able to lessen the impact of the strait being closed by getting some oil out. Now Iran is saying, what if we actually make it so not a single drop of oil gets out? How about that? How you like them apples? All right, look at this. Remarkable story here in the Financial Times. Iran seems to have used a well-known vulnerability in cell networks to track U.S. military forces during the war. This is like on day one of the war when they immediately blew up our gigantic satellite in the Middle East and, you know, the Secretary of War Crimes and Trump were sitting around with their thumbs up their asses and they were like, oops, how the fuck did that happen? How'd they know that? Nobody thought they would have closed the Strait of Hormuz. Like, this reminds me of that. So you have this massive, well-known vulnerability. You do nothing to fix it, and then they've been exploiting it this entire time. Great. Awesome. Good stuff. You guys are really fucking brilliant. How about this? Roughly 66% of Iran's parliament issued a joint statement expressing desire for end of any agreements with the U.S. Jesus Christ, 66% saying, under no circumstances should we work with the United States. Majority of lawmakers urge government to pursue revenge for the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So again, what happens when we go full neocon warmonger asshole is that you now embolden the hardliners on the other side.
Of course you do. And the other thing is, like, the reality is that we're not actually defeating Iran in a serious way. Yes, we can hurt innocent people. But Iran's military is not with the people. They are dispersed throughout the gigantic country that has rough terrain, and they're in bunkers and they're in tunnels and they are moving like water. You know, they're not just standing out there in a base going, hello, here's our flag, bomb me. No, they are fighting us. They're resisting us in the manner in which they can. And so the United States of America, frustrated by their inability to destroy Iran's military, it's going to what? Punish the population? Unless the United States is willing to invade with 5 million ground troops to subjugate the country, it's not possible. Unless we're ready to spend $5 trillion invading and conquering Iran, it's not going to happen. Now, we used to have leverage, but we are damaging the world economy because Iran has leverage over the Middle East. So by attacking Iran, they're using their counter leverage, which causes damage to the world economy. So nobody wants this to happen. So the U.S. looks like losers because part of us being the superpower was that we would use our force intelligently, right? Like, notice that the United States doesn't actually invade China. Notice that the United States doesn't actually force Taiwan to declare independence and confront China militarily. Why not? Because that would destroy the fucking world. It's a dangerous thing to do. It's far better to do what we're doing, which is go right up to the line, brinksmanship, force China to be offset, force China to invest in defense, you know, keep Taiwan independent. Contain China, make China look unreasonable by, again, poking them, but not actually fighting. See, the U.S. was a superpower because not only our ability to project power worldwide, but also to understand the limits of our power, to operate within those limits, to use our power in a coordinated fashion to extract the best concessions possible for our capitalist class. That is what we were good at. But now we're not doing that. Now we're fucking up the money. We're molesting the money. And we're forcing our adversaries, who we had contained, to coordinate in a more robust fashion, to make themselves stronger, to make themselves less dependent upon us, to decrease our power in a both relative and absolute manner. And that's what they're doing. And because we look like warmongering, war criminal aggressors, everybody who's not, we're losing the soft power conversation. And this is why the neocons are wrong. Is not only can we not do what they say we can do, but China is now more popular than the US around the world. And why is that? Because China's just sitting back, building cool shit and selling it for cheap. China is focused on their soft power. They're focused on, hey, visit our country, see how our cities are. Visit our beautiful country, ride on our high-speed rail. Look at the way we take care of our people. Look, we're not perfect. We have problems, but we're working to fix them. Take a look at our efforts to fix our problems. We don't want to have enemies. We don't want to fight wars. We want to be leaders in diplomacy and fairness. We want to help other countries develop. They're just doing soft power, and it's fucking working. Even though the United States dominates the financial system. No, the United States dominates the world's alliances. The United States dominates in media, dominates in culture. China is now more popular than us. We had all these advantages, and they've all been squandered. China is now viewed more positively than the US and many countries around the world, according to a new study by the Pew Research Center. It is the first time the organization has recorded such results. 25 countries that have a more favorable view of China than the US. In Pakistan, our ally that we give billions of dollars to every year, plus 75 China. Malaysia, plus 56. The West Bank, plus 48. Indonesia, 43. Another US ally. Singapore, 39. Thailand, 33. Sri Lanka, 30. Bangladesh, 30. Turkey, 30. Spain, 24. Italy, 20. Mexico, 19. Greece, 18. South Africa, 17. Nigeria, plus 15. One of the most important growing countries in the world is Nigeria. Probably the most under-discussed country in the world for how important they are is Nigeria. And then I would say Indonesia. I would actually say that Indonesia is the most under-discussed country in the world by far. It is one of the most important countries in the world, and it never gets talked about in America at all, and it's fucking insane. And every time I think about it, like Brazil is underrated slightly. We talk about them a lot. Indonesia, not at all. And it's actually crazy. What was the other ones? I was off on a rant there. Even Chile, plus 10. Canada, plus 11. Peru, plus 10. France, Netherlands, Sweden, Australia, Germany, Argentina. I mean, it's fucking over, dude. How could I forget the beautiful nation of Singapore? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Singapore. Singapore, 39. I mean, of course, right? You have to understand that leftism, the advantage of communism is that it creates regime people. Right now in America, we have regime people. You call them centrist Democrats. They don't have an ideology, really. They just serve the powers that be. Our regime people are the centrist Democrats. They don't believe in anything. They just serve the powers that be at the status quo. In China, those people are communists, right? Because that's the status quo. That's the party. That's the powers that be. So they're communists there, okay? In America, they're the worst, most annoying pieces of shit of all time because they are regime, socially oriented conformists, which is why they're so scared of somebody like Zohran Mamdani, is because that population of people will conform. They conform. That was the FDR secret. The FDR secret was he got all the left-wing people to like him enthusiastically, and then he got all the regime people to like him enthusiastically. So pretty much anyone that was reasonable for somebody on the left to get, FDR got. That's what they're scared of. Now, there was a lot of problems. I mean, America was not ready for, the left in 1930, okay? Like, we still had a lot of racial animus and a lot of problems, and that is the legacy of FDR, that was a failure. Was although he made a lot of progress in that, his vice president, his wife were extremely in favor of, racial equality. he himself had a lot of compromises with like the Dixiecrat status quo in the South. Like, that's just the reality, right? Like, you could take FDR. You shouldn't say that he was just a racist, because that's also impoverished understanding of the actual reality of history and how he was clearly a person who was pushing the country to the left on that issue. Eleanor Roosevelt was better than FDR. Yes, but that was his wife. He was coordinating with his wife. He was coordinating with his vice president and his wife. Duh. Anyway, sorry for getting off on a rant there. The internment camps are incredibly horrible, for sure. In reality, the U.S. is constantly trying to overthrow Indonesia's government and recruit Indonesia into the anti-China coalition. Well, yeah, no shit. But as China grows in power, countries like and places like Singapore and Taiwan are probably going to naturally just fall into China's orbit, because a lot of those people that were anti-China are regime mentality people. And you know, the more successful China gets, the wealthier China gets, the higher the standard of living in China, more and more people are going to just default over to China. People do realize that if Israel stopped taking U.S. aid, the U.S. will have less influence in Israel, not more. Providing aid is literally the U.S.'s leverage over Israel. This has played out constantly over the course of the war. Like, this is just a fact. All right, let's keep going. I want to keep talking about this stuff because it's obviously incredibly important.
They don't want peace. They want to fucking get revenge. They don't trust you. They'll never trust you. And so it's the classic, like, war begets more war, violence begets more violence, and Trump is acting like a fucking jackass. He feels like, the more I bomb them, the more they're going to get to the table. I'm going to make them get to the table. No, you idiot. The opposite is going to happen. The more you bomb them, the more they realize their leverage with the Strait of Hormuz is the most important thing, right? And they're going to hold to that as hard as they possibly can. What a fucking idiot. Oh, my days. Breaking. U.S. deploys 20-plus Navy warships and hundreds of military aircraft across the Middle East as it resumes the blockade of Iranian ports. Listen to this. Mohammed bin Salman called Trump on Friday and asked for support in the war against the Houthis per Axios. Saudi Arabia has officially joined the side of Israel and the U.S. in the regional war and directly attacked the airport in Sana'a. Now, this has massive consequences. This has massive consequences because basically the Houthis in Yemen can now block other routes to get oil out of there, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And now you open a new front in the war, and now that front is just as reliant on U.S. weapons and money as Israel is. And so, you know, it's like an endless fucking money pit, which is why they're asking for $350 billion to pay for the war, and why they want a $1.5 trillion Pentagon budget overall. Is because this, yet again, we're in another forever war. That's what this is. It's another forever war, and I don't think we have the ability to actually win this shit. I don't think we have that ability. All right. Iran is currently launching a massive missile strike on Bahrain, with the U.S. Fifth Fleet being a key target. Here's a clip of that. As Professor Morandi says, last night the Trump regime bombed civilian infrastructure, a wheat silo, a water bottling factory, as well as a dormitory for conscript soldiers. Meanwhile, Iran focused on U.S. military assets, including equipment stored for a ground operation in Bahrain. All right. How about this one? U.S. CENTCOM says they bombed southern Iran for 7 hours tonight. And then here's some of the video of the stuff that got bombed, okay? These tiny little dingy-ass fishing boats. This is some of the stuff that got bombed. So as is pointed out here by Amir, aside from the fact that these are small privately owned boats, it reveals the absolute desperation of the U.S. They are bombing to bomb, bombing to hurt civilians while having no effect on Iran's military capabilities, while Iran is hammering U.S. assets all over the Middle East. Meanwhile, it's going to take days before the U.S. has exhausted its stockpile and strategic oil reserves. Meanwhile, USIS has made sure that not a single soul in Iran would want to negotiate with them ever again. Yes, Iran is suffering tremendously, but it has been suffering for decades. At least now there is a chance that the suffering might have an end, either by defeating the enemy once and for all, or by being annihilated. These are the two options left for Iran, winning or dying. The U.S. options are to either continue this madness or to stop committing genocide, pack their shit and go home, and maybe pay a 2% fee for the endless crimes they have committed. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I keep trying to warn you, as I keep trying to tell you, this is worse than the worst case scenario. I genuinely and sincerely don't know how much longer.
I don't know about that, man. Like, it could always get a lot worse. It can always get a lot worse. Like, they brought a lot of ground troops into the Middle East, but it looks like Trump pussed out. Like, they were getting ready for an invasion, but it looks like Trump backed down. But they could definitely do dumbass fuck shit and invade, right? Like, right now they're bombing, but they can always do something even dumber.
Until gas prices skyrocket, the supply basically runs out. You know, you have like a permanent, 20% shortage or more. And at that point, I don't know what happens. Are we talking about rationing gas? Are we talking about $7 a gallon gasoline? Are we talking about grocery prices skyrocketing? One thing I fear is that people not being able to afford the diesel for trucks that deliver food to like rural places. So you could have not just gas prices going up, but like genuine food shortages. They're really gambling with the future of the world here is what they're doing. And I don't know. They're really, I really think it comes down to the fact that they're genuinely just stupid. They're a bunch of baboons. And in the same way that like they denied and downplayed when it came to COVID until like, people were dying left and right. It's sort of like a similar situation here. I think Trump and the Secretary of War Crimes and Stephen Miller and all these idiots may have convinced themselves that like, hey, gas it's high, but it's not like, it's not apocalyptically high yet. They may have convinced themselves that like coasting on the Strategic Petroleum Reserve was actually okay. And like, we're not in horrible shape. But again, what happens when we get to the operational minimum and you can't really get anything else out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Chaos. Chaos is what happens, and economic collapse is what happens. And everybody's way too calm about what's likely to come. I don't think people have any idea about what's likely to come. I said it before, I'll say it again. Donald J. Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, the axis of Epstein, do everybody in the world a favor. Hold this big, fat, juicy L, you bitch. Hold this big, fat, juicy L. You lost. You lost. You fought Iran. You lost. They control the Strait of Hormuz. They control basically every avenue by which we can get oil to the West. They control it. They have veto power over the global economy. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Now you're in a corner. And what's Trump likely to do in a corner? Get even dumber, get even worse. And so what I fear is a ground invasion. What I fear is attempting to take Karg Island or the other little oil islands that they have there that are strategically important in Iran. And there is no way that goes smoothly. 0% chance. Iran has won this war, full stop. It's all over, but the fucking acknowledging of the fat pedophile rapist con man. And the sooner he acknowledges it, the better. Hold this big, fat, juicy L and, apologize for what you've done and agree to all of the terms Iran is demanding. Because you know what? They're correct in those terms.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
I think, like, we're actually in a situation where they're dumb as fuck. They're dumb as fuck. They're dumb enough to actually want to do these invasions. Now, I predicted that they would. I predicted that the slope of escalation was just going to keep on going, and I thought they were going to invade in May. So here we are in July, and they haven't invaded yet because they signed that MOU and backed down. But now Trump is back. Now they're doing it again. And I've always felt that Donald Trump is dumb enough to do the invasion. That he is a narcissistic egomaniac. He's not intelligent. His entire life has always been doubling down. I don't see him. I just think he's going to double down again. And the fact that it's stupid is why I believe it's going to happen. The fact that it makes no fucking sense is why I believe it's going to happen.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. We have an amazing show.
Oh, which reminds me, I wanted to, before we go and talk about this, I wanted to talk more about the Israel vote, which I think you should consider it good news and bad news. I think the Israel vote is probably one of the most important votes that has ever happened in American history because it shows exactly the people that we can intimidate and exactly the people that will be a threat to President AOC. 103 House Democrats have voted to cut off aid from Israel. Would you guys have thought that, would you guys think that number is surprisingly low, surprisingly high, or about where you thought? I gotta tell you, it's a little bit high. I would have put the number at like 85. So 103, that's higher than I thought. And I think it's that high because of the primary victories in New York and especially in Philadelphia and Denver. Because if it had only been in New York, phenomenon, I don't think Dems would be as scared. But the fact that you knocked out a 15-term incumbent and you won an open seat in Philadelphia with black voters, which the Democratic establishment coped that they still had control and influence over black voters in urban areas to offset the left. They thought we can make this a purely racial thing and we can get black voters to vote as a bloc against the left. That's not true anymore. Black boomers are still voting with the establishment, but young black voters are voting with their age bracket. It is a generational divide, which is a massive improvement for the left. The left is making inroads with young black people under the age of 50. And that is new. That is new. And I feel like, because we've already had really good inroads with the Hispanic population and Bernie Sanders, but now that we have young black voters also joining the left, that is making it a multiracial working class coalition instead of just DSA being people like me, overeducated white guys with too many degrees. Okay, let's be honest. In 2016, I was very similar to the average, Bernie guy, but it has actually gotten better. The left is actually expanding its reach. And it's important that we note that, because it's important, because we're only going to succeed as an intersectional movement. We're not going to win just with Plattner and like the Plattner-Fetterman theory failed. It's a bad theory. It doesn't mean no white guys. It just means we need dedicated democratic socialists, part of a multiracial working class movement where people are vetted, not just guys who went viral.
Bring you all the most important and breaking news from Capitol Hill whenever it comes in. As we mentioned just before we went to break,
rate this ad. He looks like a fucking ventriloquist doll. What the fuck is his hair? Gravy seal. There has never been a MAGA guy that could fill out a hat. I swear every single MAGA person I see has like an undersized cranium. They cannot fill out a hat. Like they just cannot fill out a hat. Like this hat is too small. Like I'm having to open it up. You know, I'm down to like, it's like they cannot fill out a hat. Honestly, like the gut, you could tell the like plate carrier is like tighter up top and looser down below, because you can see the angle. You see the angle in which he is wrapping his body and how it's like got this downward angle. That's because he's got a little bit of a gut. And as a middle-aged man with a gut, let me tell you, bro, stop it. Amazing.
Failed to pass an amendment by Kentucky Republican Tom Massey to cut off aid to Israel. More than 100 Democrats voted for it. Only Massey, as a Republican, voted in favor of it. All the other Republicans, no. I want to turn to our political panel. Democratic strategist, former press secretary to then Vice President Joe Biden, Kendra Barkoff-Lamy, and Republican strategist.
Wow, Zionist and a Zionist. Wow, we've got the Biden advisor and a Republican. Whoa, diversity of thought on Israel, guys. We got the diversity of thought.
And former chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence, Mark Short. Great to have you here.
Thanks, man.
Mark, give me your analysis of this vote. So Massey by himself, Republicans clearly whip this, leave him on his own, and see what the Democrats do among themselves to fight this out.
Well, look, I think that this close to election season, when Thomas Massey's not well liked in the conference, there's no doubt they're very comfortable with him offering this on the floor, believing that this is what a lot of Democrats have voted.
Madam Chair, my amendment is simple. It strikes $3.3 billion of foreign aid to the country of Israel from the State Department funding bill. You know, we've got $39.4 trillion of debt. We've got needs at home, which include our infrastructure, our roads and bridges. We've got a shortfall in that fund. We've got our locks and dams that we're perpetually trying to figure out new funding mechanisms to come up with. And we've got homeless veterans. And we're sending more money to Israel in this bill than we spend on homeless veterans in this country. Just to put it in perspective, there are 3,000 counties in this country. And if you divide that into $3 billion, that's $1 million from every county. This is not a significant amount of money that is going overseas. So I think we should stop it. We should put them on a diet. They're the biggest welfare recipient of the United States and have been for many years. $310 billion has been received by Israel from the taxpayers of the United States. That's in inflation-adjusted dollars since we've been giving them money. And that's why I think this amendment is important, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Madam Chairwoman, I rise to claim time in opposition to the gentleman's amendment.
And it's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. As chairman of this subcommittee since 2023, I'm proud to be a leader in this body in providing unwavering support to our friend and ally, Israel, especially after the October 7th terrorist attack. The $3.3 billion in foreign military financing for Israel included in this bill supports our national security interests overseas. You see, the same terrorists and terrorist entities that threaten Israel also threaten the United States and our people directly. You see, when we give Israel the tools and capabilities to eliminate these terrorist threats and to protect their homeland, by the way, including the many Americans who visit and live there, we are making America and the American people safer. The United States and Israel have worked together on successful military operations, like those in the past year to decimate Iran's nuclear program and missile capabilities. And Israel is also using the overwhelming majority of this funding to actually purchase American-made weaponry. So it actually helps our defense industrial base and our economy. And we've worked together extensively on developing military capabilities and other capabilities. Because of these advancements for our mutual interest and for our
Does anybody, I mean, like the idea that Israel is providing the United States with any advancements is one of the most laughably stupid bullshit arguments that has ever been advanced. We are the world superpower with the world's largest economy, the most advanced research universities, and the largest military spending. Israel is a country of 6 million people. It's just nonsense. Pennsylvania is inventing more shit than Israel. Okay, like let's speak on it. Let's speak on. This is nonsense. It's bullshit. Okay, they are a settler colonial project for a politically connected minority of Zionists, most of which are not even Jewish people, and the majority of Jewish people oppose Benjamin Netanyahu's atrocities. So we're talking about a politically connected, state-sponsored lobbyist group, which is really foreign agents, and it actually impedes America's security.
There is currently a discussion, frankly, of moving to a new security partnership with Israel after the fiscal year 2028. Just to be clear, the assistance in this bill for fiscal year 2027 is under the terms of the existing MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which runs for 2 more fiscal years. This does not in any way prejudge the outcome of ongoing negotiation. This is about fulfilling our commitment to one of our closest and most important allies that we have in the entire world at a time when terrorists are butchering people around the world. And we made that commitment because it makes the American people, our country, stronger. So I urge defeat of the amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Kentucky.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
This is like saying it was a mistake to block IBM for providing support for counting machines they sold to the Nazis, even though those counting machines that used to track the people killed in the Holocaust because of American worker jobs. Like, the idea that the Republicans care about anybody's individual job is so fucking hilarious, because they sat back as 10 million manufacturing jobs were lost to foreign outsourcing in this country, right? And entire states were completely hollowed out. But I'm supposed to give a shit about 500, baby bomb killing jobs? Get the fuck out of here with this nonsense.
I heard a common refrain in my colleagues' arguments there that, oh, don't worry, all this money is going to the military industrial complex. Well, I've got a problem with that. That's not a sustainable economy.
Mike, I took the time to go through the no and present votes on Massey's amendment and made DSA target graphics for all Dems in a D plus 10 or more district who are staying in office. I am not a graphic designer, but I hope this is what you were looking for. Voted to send $3 billion. Yes, graphic design is clearly your passion. I can tell. Here's what you need to do. Here's a suggestion. This is what I would like. I would also like to go to know how democratic the district is. Voted for D plus whatever district. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I want to figure out, like, maybe that's not a good idea for what the information, but I want it to be like, also, you know, if you can lead with like the highest, see, like Wesley Bell, there you go. Brendan Boyle, there you go. You know, Ed Case, there you go, right? Gil Cisneros, there you go. Like, these are good. These are good. Maybe not every member of the CBC be at the top. You know what I mean?
Buying weapons and letting people use them overseas on other people, particularly oftentimes innocent civilians. And I'm not compelled by the argument that our job is to be here and enrich the military-industrial complex, now called the Defense Industrial Base. With that, I would like to yield 2 minutes to my friend and colleague, Mr. Castro from Texas.
The gentleman is recognized.
Madam Speaker, Israel does not need, and quite honestly, does not deserve.
It was in alphabetical order. We should do it in money taken from AIPAC order.
More American money for weapons. Prime Minister Netanyahu has taken Israel down an ugly path. The tragedy of October 7th has become a justification for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Self-defense does not include indiscriminately bombing homes, hospitals, churches, schools, or refugee camps. There were even credible reports of children intentionally shot in the head and chest. For decades, our nation gave Israel billions to facilitate peace and a two-state solution. Instead, Israel has chosen more war and more occupation. Today, it occupies not only Gaza and the West Bank, but parts of Syria and Lebanon. If there are no consequences, why in the world would Benjamin Netanyahu change what he's doing? And words are not enough. Condemnations are not enough. If we hope to change Israel's behavior, we must use our leverage. The American people have seen this tragedy with their own eyes. They have made their judgment. They do not support giving Israel more weapons. Do not reward a wrongdoer. Now it's up to us in this chamber to take action. I support this amendment, and I yield back.
I now recognize the gentleman from Kentucky.
Mayor inquires to how much time I have remaining.
The gentleman has 1.5 minutes remaining.
I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I yield to the distinguished ranking member of the subcommittee, the gentleman from Florida, Ms. Frankel, for 1 minute.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
This is who I wanted. This is who I wanted Oliver Larkin to primary, because this district is incredibly blue. And I was like, Oliver, primary Frankel, fuck the district that you're running in now. Primary this woman. This is the woman I wanted him to primary.
Should I yield to? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in very strong opposition to this amendment. Maintaining stability in the Middle East has long been a vital United States strategic interest, and what happens there affects our economy, our national security, the safety of our American service members. And as written, this amendment is overbroad in that it prohibits or could limit the use of funds for long-standing initiatives related to peace building, refugee settlement, and U.S. embassy operations. And this amendment would restrict our country's ability to confront Iran's proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist organizations in the region who are sworn enemies of the United States, Israel, and our allies. A 10-minute debate is not the way to change policy as we have a mission of peace and prosperity, both for Israelis and Palestinians, and peace in the region. Yield back.
When he yields back.
One of the bluest districts in the country. No primary. No serious primary. Huge DSAL.
I would like now to yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Hoyer.
Gentleman from Florida, Maryland, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to this amendment, which would dangerously undermine American national security. If adopted, it would, as Leader Jeffries rightly pointed out, limit our ability to confront terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah that expressly target American citizens and military personnel. And it would make it harder for America to use our relationships with Israel and regional partners to promote a negotiated two-state settlement. The only realistic path to deliver on the promise of peace, security, and self-determination for both Israel and Palestine. I understand the frustration that many members feel some of the policies and actions of the current Israeli government, as well as their concerns about its commitment to the peace process and a two-state solution. However,
these are your Democratic leaders, chat.
This amendment would embolden the enemies of peace, those pursuing the complete elimination of Israel and those who seek the death of Jews. It is a vote to weaken our ability to engage in the region, and it's a vote against American security, against American interest, and against American safety. Vote no.
The gentleman, I now recognize the gentleman from Florida.
Let me just very briefly conclude. As I said before at this bill, I've said it many times, if you're an ally and a friend of the United States, this bill supports you. And if you're an adversary, you're not going to like this bill. We have no stronger ally than the state of Israel. This is our commitment under the MOU, which is why I respectfully...
When they say strong ally, state of Israel, they mean country that's sucking us the most dry and gives us absolutely nothing in return but risk and danger. Who spies on us, who interferes in our elections, who murders our citizens. They're such a strong ally that they did absolutely nothing to help our country remain safe. And in fact, are the greatest motivator for most of our conflicts is defending Israel.
But very strongly opposed this amendment. And with that, I would.
The gentleman yields. Gentleman from Kentucky.
And with that, I would like to close by saying that Israel has the strongest economy in the Middle East. Their debt per GDP is in much better shape than ours. They don't need our money. In fact, they've claimed recently they want to get off of the welfare. But I'm concerned that the other funding mechanisms they're talking about, or commingling our technology and supply chains, will have even less transparency than what's going on here today. So I'm opposed to that as well. I'm opposed to all foreign aid. I didn't pick on Israel here. I've offered an amendment to defund Egypt and also to defund the aid to Jordan, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I am particularly concerned this year about the foreign aid to Israel. There have been 70,000 casualties in Gaza, and I don't think we should be part of that. American taxpayers should not be conscripted into funding the military adventures of Israel, and I urge adoption of my amendment, and with that, I yield back.
Exactly as they did. And I think that the Democrats have a growing anti-Semitic problem in their caucus. And it's only going to get worse when a lot of these Democrat socialists that they've been pushing forward have one nominee.
The unfinished business is the request for a recorded vote on Amendment Number 8, printed in Part A of House Report 119-749 by the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, on which further proceedings were postponed and on which the nays prevailed by voice vote. The clerk will redesignate the amendment.
Amendment Number 8, printed in Part A of House Report Number 119-749, offered by Mr. Massey of Kentucky.
A recorded vote has been requested. Those in support of the request for a recorded vote will rise and be counted. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. This is a 2-minute vote, for real. 2 minutes.
This is the vote to defund Israel. So yays are good. That's voting yes to defund Israel. How do they record while standing around? They go push the button on their desk and then they're done. See how he's doing it real quick? Boom. Can you press for other people? No. The Independent is a guy from California who's a Republican, but he switched to Independent because he's running for re-election. And I'm pretty sure his district, he'll lose horribly. So he's trying to run as an independent to try to save his seat. What does present mean? Is that the same as abstaining? So NV means not voting, which means they're either not there or they decided not to vote. Whereas present is, I'm here, I'm doing my job, I just refuse to pick a side. Now, personally, I think voting present is a really bad idea. Why? Because it doesn't make anybody happy. The pro-Israel people will be mad at you because you're not voting for it. If you vote against Israel, then people will thank you. But by voting present, you piss everybody off. That's what happened to AOC. She voted present on a bill that had 420 votes in favor. But people still bring it up. But you can see the difference, right? This bill is to strip military funding from Israel, offensive and defensive. A few back, 4 years ago, only 3 people would vote in favor. Now it's 103. You can literally see our political work in this vote. You can see how many more people are scared to support Israel. And now we have 98 targets.
On this vote, the yeas are 104, the nays 314, with 10 answering present. The amendment is not adopted. The unfinished business.
So there you go. 100 and there you have it.
And if you're an
I guess it was 100, but I guess it is what it is. And that should both be motivating and enraging, right? Motivating and enraging. Motivating in the sense that we are making a political change, a political difference in this country where we are actually going directly at Israel and we're starting to scare and intimidate and turn politicians to vote against Israel, but also enraging in that there are so many people that see a genocide with their own eyes. They're not confused, and they nonetheless believe that the money will save them. The bribes will save them. That's better than expected. Terrible in the grand scheme, but the hill is tall and steep. It's better than expected. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I feel that it was better than expected. I would have said 85. So you can see the results. People are scared. They are scared shitless of the DSA challenge. And Jules posted something which is another kind of close to what I want, but it's not quite. I don't want Democrats who won their general election by 10. I want to know how democratic the district is. Meaning, how did it vote for Harris? How did it vote for Biden? Right? That's what I want. I don't care about what vote they got. Right? Because a lot of them didn't even get challenged. Like, if there's no challenge, then you know what I mean? They're going to have a 90-some% of that. Doesn't mean anything. I need to know how democratic the district is so we know if we can primary them. Right? But it's close to what I want. And if you look at this list, here are the Democrats who voted no. We've already removed Goldman. He was already primaried out of office by Brad Lander. Wesley Bell, that's Cory Bush's primary. And so, yeah, this line and everything that's not what I want. Jared Golden, he's out of office. We need to have, basically, I want to have 50 solid targets, if not 100 solid targets for DSA in 2028. This is pretty Greek to me, not gonna lie. Yeah, it's not quite what I'm looking for. I basically want to show people that a lot of these politicians can be beat. And there's, we could run somebody strongly left wing. In most districts in the country held by a Democrat, you could elect a Democratic Socialist. In fact, I'd say there's more districts you could elect a Democratic Socialist in today than there are Democrats in Congress today. In other words, a socialist majority is possible in America. What does voting present mean? It means you're there, but you don't take a side. You're basically just telling everyone, I showed up to work today. It's like if somebody comes and says, what do you want for dinner? And you say, I don't know. What do you want?
It'll be inside of one of these giant military omnibus type programs. And we won't even know because we'll just, instead of giving them gift certificates for Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, we'll give them the bombs from Raytheon. And
they would develop them with us.
Right.
It was almost integrated.
Well, that's the second part is that Section 219 of the NDAA is now, it's very toxic. And I'm trying to get a vote on that to strip that. Section 219 is, I think, what Rose was alluding to, which is integration of our intelligence and military with supply chains, supply lines and technology with Israel. It's a country of 10 million people.
Right.
Like, it's not even like NATO, where they're at least the third of the size of us, and there might be some reciprocal arrangement that could help in a world war. That's not going to help. With Israel can't help us in a war of a scale where our sovereignty is affected. It's only going to hurt us. Anyways, I'm trying to get an amendment in order to strip 219 from the NDAA. And if I can't get that done, or they don't allow us to have that vote, I think they're jeopardizing the NDAA. That stands for National Defense Authorization Act. It's one of the must-pass pieces of legislation, like a farm bill or a highway bill that passes every year.
Right.
Congressman Massey, I wanted to ask you some about that money that was spent against you, and I think you're right. They definitely wanted to make an example of you. A lot of that money came from the Israel lobby. They're now trying to do a similar thing with ABDUL in the Michigan primary on the Democratic side. I think $50 million have come in. And again, the ads have nothing to do with Israel. They're claiming he's a sexist because he one time mildly criticized Michelle Obama. I mean, this is the sort of stuff that they're going with here. And I do wonder, again, from your perspective as a libertarian, if that changes any of your view of the ability for a democracy to coexist with billionaires, the impact of money in politics. What are your views there? Has that shaped your philosophy or thinking about how we handle this flood of money, which is not just the Israel lobby, it's big pharma, it's big oil, it's the banks, it's all sorts of interests.
Yeah, are you asking did the ass whipping I took from the billionaires change my perspective?
Yes, I should have asked it that way.
It was a beatdown.
How are you feeling about billionaires these days? Yeah.
Well, we were able to raise $20 million. And so we had enough money. It's just they played dirtier than we were willing to play. They made artificial intelligence ads that showed me in a three-way relationship with AOC and Ilhan Omar. And, people fell for those ads. They thought they were real. So, again, there's another libertarian conundrum that I have in addition to campaign finance, which I do equate with speech. But also, here's another example of speech. Should they be able to make AI ads and run them with my image in it? You have to think very carefully about the legislative solutions that you don't make the situation worse. I think I could be okay with campaign finance that said, if you're running a congressional race, the only people who can donate are the people who can vote
in your district.
Now, Miriam Adelson may have moved to Kentucky.
She was ready.
She was so motivated.
She'll build a casino on top of your house just to make an example.
I think that is interesting because I know in the past you've pushed for transparency, which I think is an important first step. But at this point, there's a lot of mass education about who AIPAC is and what they are, et cetera. It's not that transparency, isn't there necessarily, but the problem is that just when you have so much money, of course, it's going to impact outcomes. And we can see it, in this vote from yesterday, too. So many of your colleagues take money from AIPAC or other similar groups. So many of the Democratic caucus, it should be based on the Democratic base. It should be overwhelming and not a problem for Democratic congressmen to vote, for an amendment like
Roe doesn't go far enough to succeed as a Dem, IMO. Roe going independent to run with Massey as a threat to AOC. Crazier things have happened. There is no way that Ro Khanna running would do anything. Okay, I need everybody to understand something. It's not that Ro is a fraud or any of these things. He's just a social liberal who goes on a lot of stuff. He likes cryptocurrency and is kind of, he's to our right. He's an ally on some issues, but fundamentally he's ideologically to our right, and he's better than 99% of Democrats or 95% of Democrats, that are in Congress. That's all it is. But if he tries to run against AOC, I'm going to drop a nuclear bomb on his head. White House teleprompter operator made $100,000 betting on Trump's speeches.
Not pay off. Federal investigators say that a staffer with one of the best seats in the House for President Trump's speeches may have also had some big bets riding on them.
I mean, is this even illegal? What's the crime they're claiming he committed?
Is telling us that Trump's longtime teleprompter operator is accused of using inside knowledge to cash in on prediction markets, allegedly making more than $100,000 by betting on what the president would or would not say. And now he's negotiating a settlement with federal regulators. Let's bring in our Washington, D.C.
I don't even know,
managing...
okay, but is it a securities problem? It isn't a publicly traded, are they trying to say the prediction markets are publicly traded securities? What exactly is the art? I'm interested. If I were them, I'd fight this shit. But,
Editor Catherine Falder. So what the heck is going on?
Even though it should be illegal, by the way. We shouldn't even have these things.
Right. It's a good question. Our reporting is that according to our sources, one of Trump's teleprompter operators, his main one, if you will, Gabriel Perez, has been found by federal regulators to have been betting on some of Trump's speeches. Over a 3-month period, we're told by sources that he bet on more than a dozen Trump speeches, including the one you see right there, the State of the Union speech. And while betting on those speeches, he made more than $100,000. Now, Kira, the way that he did this is he bet on Kalshi, the prediction market website, and you can go into what's called the mentions, if you will. So if you were to bet on it, you go to mentions, and then it would say, what is Trump going to mention in his State of the Union speech? It will list a number of words, and you could bet yes or no. Well, the person who knows that better than anybody is the person who is operating the teleprompter, the person who is closest to his words before he says them. Now, what's striking about this, according to our sources who have told us what investigators have found, is that not only would he place these bets before the speeches, but he would actually bet out of these, if you will, while the speech was going on. So, for example, if the prompter operator saw that Trump may have skipped a section in the speech, or that he was deviating from his remarks, and Perez were to place a yes bet on a word that he may have said in the part that he was jumping over while that was going on, then he would trade out of that bet, if you will, change it to no, which is a remarkable finding, at least from investigators here. Now, what we're reporting also is that the Department of Justice was notified by the CFTC, the regulator that oversees this. There was a referral. The Department of Justice at the time declined to prosecute this, declined to bring a case on this. It's unclear exactly why, but that step at least happened along in the process as this investigation unfolded over the past few.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens as we follow the case. And especially creates a whole conversation about insider trading on these prediction markets. All right, Catherine Falders, thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. This week, federal prosecutors arrested a Google.
Okay, I mean, I don't even know, like, it's pretty clear that what's going on in the Trump administration is brazen, open corruption. So it is kind of funny that they're going after the teleprompter guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to get that worked up over it. Obviously, yeah, he has inside information. But it's hard for me to get worked up when Donald Trump is getting, like, billion-dollar bribes.
So you can see the impact of this money.
Honestly, if you're a degenerate who's betting on how many times Trump says bigly in his speeches, perhaps you should kind of deserve to lose your money. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to bet on, like, the outcome of an election, which is already kind of degenerate. But to bet on how many times Trump is like farts, that's, you know, kind of deserve to lose your money.
The legislative process, not just electorally.
Well, ultimately, there was a win in my loss, which is I knew they would have to spend insane amounts of money. This is the most expensive congressional primary in the history of the United States. And I knew that if they would have to spend insane amounts of money, and if they did and I lost, it would sort of prove the point that they have too much influence in our own government, that the Israeli lobby does. Now, they'll argue these are American citizens or dual citizens who are donating the money, but I would still say they're operating on behalf of a foreign country, and so they are foreign agents. I think they should have to register as such. But there was a victory in it. It's really, there was a big waking up. I don't think we would have gotten as many votes on my amendment if people hadn't watched me lose because there was $30 million of Israeli lobby money poured into a little Kentucky race. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is. And then also on these AI ads, this fall is going to be the Wild West. Like, I got a taste of it in my own race, and you don't, these weren't online ads. These were like local, you know, Fox cable affiliates running these ads. So not a lot of people saw what's happening. But this November, both parties are going to run the most ridiculous AI ads. And if you write a piece of legislation that says you have to put a disclaimer on there, it doesn't help. That gives them a safe harbor to do anything. They could show you doing anything and say, by the way, this was made with artificial intelligence, and people are still going to believe it because people watch videos and they don't read the little stuff at the bottom.
Yeah, my last question before we start, I know we're running a bit short on time, is about Senator Mitch McConnell. Do you believe the proof of life photo? And there's a lot of speculation that they're continuing to keep him in his Senate seat in order to prevent you from being able to run in a special primary or special election in the state. Your reaction?
Well, the special term would be less than 6 months now.
Sure.
And I'm not interested in running for that. I just broke news, I guess, to tell people.
So you did.
Yeah.
And now they can come clean about Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, so Mitch, tell us what's going on.
I mean, I think the public does deserve to see somebody walk up to a podium and say something. Now, whether we can believe that in this day and age is also another question.
You could have AI do it.
Yeah, right. But, you know, I've said I'm going to introduce term limit legislation called 3 strokes and you're out. Because we've seen this in the House. We saw one of our colleagues disappear for 4 months. No account. By the way, he won his primary and I lost mine. Maybe that was the answer.
And he was depressed, right?
Depressed, which is a catch-all. It could mean, I mean, what do you do when you're depressed?
Right.
Maybe you drink. Maybe you're doing something. I'm not saying that he did, but and then we had Kay Granger, who was basically, you know, had dementia.
So how much?
And was still a congressperson for many months. Won
Is
her
she
endorsement.
the one who was in a memory care facility?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. I
Yes.
remember that. Yes.
That's insane.
You know, we had yesterday we marked up a bill in judiciary called the National Fossils Act, and I asked them if this was about senators.
This is what happens when you don't have to run for re-election anymore.
Well, that is actually my last question. And it's kind of for both of you. You know, we get, every time we do an AMA, we get a question. Do you think that Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna could run for president together and have some bipartisan kumbaya?
This is one of those moments where, like, I can't say what I think. You know what I mean? Because it's just alienating to good-hearted people, right? Like, this is where your skills as an organizer have to kick in. Because the person saying that is saying it from a good-hearted place. They just don't understand the world. And it's not, I don't mean that to, like, look down on them or anything. It's just Thomas Massie hates everything we stand for. And for most of his history in politics, he has been working with the oligarchs so that there's unlimited money in politics. Now, he just so happens to have a principled position against Israel. But the reason why he was beaten is because the libertarian forces that he represents have worked overtime to overturn campaign finance regulation. So he was hoisted by his own petard. So the idea that he's going to ally with us when he opposes all the solutions, right? He opposes limited campaign finance. He opposes reining in the billionaires, right? He opposes reining in the capitalist class for the worker, right? It's laughable and it's crazy. And running with him would be a disaster because he would be contradicting everything you said on every issue. But one, maybe we shouldn't give billions of dollars to Israel.
I've been skeptical of that because I know you guys collaborate on a lot, but I also know there are a lot of ideological differences there would be hard to sort out. But what are you thinking about your future? Is politics still in your future? Senate run, presidential run? What are the sorts of things that you're, podcasts? What are the sorts of things you're
Please don't do
considering?
that.
Well, I'm not going to rule anything out. How about that? But the political terrain right now in Republican primaries is uphill for me.
Yeah.
The war in Iran, this doesn't get reported enough, is 70% popular among Republicans.
Still.
Yeah, still is. And, you know, that's in Kentucky where you have Rand Paul and Thomas Massie. In Oklahoma, where you don't have us, it's 80% popular, according to the pollster that I used. So, you know, there's still, and then you saw the vote on Israel, sending the foreign aid. Republicans say they're conservative, they don't want to send money overseas, but then they have a little asterisk and they say, except we'll give Israel as much money as they need, you know, and we'll empty our coffers for that. So that I do have a few political positions that I think are going to be right in 4 years, 8 years. Maybe it only takes 2 years, but right now I'm against the grain of where you can win certain races. So I'm going to watch for the terrain, see if it changes. Do I eventually get the high ground or not? But in the meantime, I am just so happy to have my life back. I should send Miriam Adelson a thank you card.
Sometimes these things work out in a way that you don't expect. So appreciate both of you guys for coming in. We've been wanting to have you here. We have Ro all the time. We always appreciate your time too, but to have you both together, we really are.
Sir, exit interview before you go? You'll come back here?
Yes. And Ro and I have decided to run against each other.
I thought you were going to endorse my reelection.
You did that for me. We'll see what that happens.
We like the dynamic duo themselves. Thank you both seriously so much
love for you to come back so I can fight with you more about libertarianism.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it. Hey. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show. Help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, MBs, socialists, Francesca Hong, the financial reports for the Wisconsin governor's race. Francesca Hong is leading cash on hand with $410,000, meaning she's leading at the polls. She has the most money, and she is the most left-wing candidate. Democratic Socialist candidate Francesca Hong has the most cash on hand for the Wisconsin governor's race. Most money, most volunteers, and leading in the polls. This will be a monumental upset when she pulls it off. Incredible. Can we get, AOC, it's time to endorse FRAN. It's time. It's time. I think she has Ro Khanna, Ilhan Omar. Let me just pull it up. Okay, yeah, I got it. Ilhan Omar, Nina Turner, Ro Khanna. Let's fucking go. And of course, Darren and Ryan, who we brought on our stream and won. If you guys remember, we've had Darren and Ryan on the stream, and they won their elections because of the work that y'all helped do. And obviously, it's me. Hey, Ryan. Ryan's in the chat right now. They did it. Ryan, you need to we need to do a Wisconsin thing. I want to do another Wisconsin thing at some point. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for all the DSA electeds to get behind FRAN. Summer Lee, AOC, Chris Rabb, Claire, Daria Lisa, Maylot. I can never say her name right. I'm such an idiot. We need you all behind her because she's gonna fucking win. Did you see Abdul's top contributor list? Sakat dropped 250K. I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to get excited about super PAC spending when we're getting outspent 100 to 1. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to get excited. Okay, I might have to sign in. Thank you. Iran warns U.S. of Hormuz red line, says it will retaliate if Trump carries out threats. Oh, God.
Welcome to another Zateo Live Town Hall. I'm Mehdi Hassan, the editor-in-chief here at Zateo.
There was a pod save interview of Abdul?
Hi, everyone. Alex
All right, we might have to watch that. We might have to watch that tomorrow.
Welcome to another Zateo.
Also, did you guys hear that there's big protests in Ukraine? Apparently, Zelensky fired the head of the government, head of the military. There's a big protest, but it's martial law. So protesting, you can't protest under martial law. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Live Town Hall. I'm Mehdi Hassan, the editor-in-chief here at Zateo. I've got a great panel for you here today to talk about all of the breaking news and more. Forgive my voice. This is what happens when you watch England defeat Norway. Sorry, Trina, at the weekend. And I'll lose it completely by Thursday after we beat Argentina. But I've got enough of a voice left. I had a voice for Piers Morgan this morning, and I have a voice for this distinguished panel that I have today. Rula Jibril is here, Zateo contributor, Palestinian-Italian journalist, analyst, academic, author. Trina Parsi, good friend of Zateo, is here, executive vice president at the Quincy Institute, foreign policy analyst, author of multiple books on Iran. And Rami Khouri is here. Great to see you, Rami. Long-time Lebanon watcher, former Beirut resident, former distinguished policy fellow at the American University of Beirut. Now, I think you're in Cambridge, Massachusetts right now. Palestinian, Jordanian, American journalist, commentator. Great to have you all here. There is a lot to discuss. We actually scheduled this town hall last week when we thought, you know what, people aren't talking about Iran or Gaza or Lebanon. Let's talk about those three topics with three experts. And then Donald Trump, as usual, never lets things lie, has decided to restart the war. Not that it was ever really over, on the eve of this town hall, so it's been even more relevant than it was before. So let's just jump in right there. We're going to talk about all three countries and what's going on, Israel and America at the center of all of them. And if you've got questions, I see some of you are still joining the chat, do stick your questions in the Q&A, and we'll try and get through as many Q&A questions as we can in a little bit. But Trina, I'm going to throw it over to you. You've just written a piece for your Substack. Remind people what your Substack's called so they can go subscribe.
TrinaParsi.substack.com.
You've written a big piece today about what is going on right now with Iran and the US, what implication this will all have for oil prices. What's fascinating to me is we were told forever that Iran charging tolls for the Strait of Hormuz is illegal under international law and maritime law. Donald Trump's solution to Iran charging tolls today, we've been told, is that he will just charge a bigger toll, 20%. He says he'll take for being the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. He's bombed Iran on Saturday, bombed Iran on Sunday, and the Iranian foreign minister is mocking him today. Mr. Arakchi tweeting, well, 20% is too high. We're only doing 1 or 2%. Trina, what should we think about all this?
We should think that this is frankly a disaster, and it did not need to come to this. It was not inevitable in my view. But nevertheless, I think part of the problem is that both sides overreacted to a couple of things happening in the Strait. The Iranians are very sensitive about the Strait. Already before the MOU, they believed that they saw efforts by the United States to create a southern corridor in Omani waters that the Iranians would not be able to control. So if war were to start again, or the way the Iranians would view it, once the U.S. restarts the war, the Iranians would no longer have the Hormuz card to play in the same way. And, the Iranian position was that they wanted to make sure that all ships coordinated with them their transit, and all that coordination essentially would mean that they would send an email and say that they're intending to transit. There's no fees, there's no approval or anything of that kind. But there were several efforts to have ships go through the southern corridor, oftentimes turning off their transponders. The Iranians view that as a provocation. I think it was an overreaction to necessarily shoot at them. This led to once, twice, and now 3 times military exchanges between the U.S. and Iran. And the last time, this current time, I think the U.S. completely overreacted in the manner that Trump decided to dramatically escalate. He himself said that if they shoot 1, we will shoot 20. That's a declaration of disproportionate response and has led to this scenario. I think there's elements of this likely would have happened in some form. I think one of the mistakes the Iranians have done is that they have failed to appreciate that Trump psychology requires some sort of a constant assembly of positive news and progress. And if that doesn't happen, he quickly loses patience and can do a 180. He's already done that twice now. He started war, went back to diplomacy, started war again. That as a result, this really is going to make it difficult, even if they manage to get to the table again, to get a deal done. Because after 47 years of enmity, you're not going to have a negotiation that moves in that type of a smooth fairy tale way. It's just not going to happen. And it makes me more skeptical than I was before. I was somewhat optimistic at various points that actually diplomacy could work, because this level of impatience is just not going to cut it.
You've always been
Mahdi,
more optimistic than me, Trina. Rula, are you optimistic? Because Trina used the word inevitable. It wasn't inevitable. I feel like it was inevitable because Donald Trump was never going to let this just go, and the Iranians were never let it just go, and Israelis were never going to let it go. The MOU was never going to be the end or the beginning of the end. Where do you stand on this, Rula?
Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to Zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism.
Look, it's time and time again the United States has attempted to shred their own, memorandum of understanding because
I think it's pretty clear that we're operating in a world of the dumbest pieces of shit, right? Like, what analysis can you even give at this point, right? Like, it's Donald Trump's psychology and the inner circle of grifters around him who are unqualified for their position being manipulated by Israel's interests and just bungling everything.
Attempted to basically retroactively continue to change the terms because they didn't like the terms. Every time Donald Trump would discover certain terms that he didn't read or they didn't inform him enough, so he retroactively tried to change it after signing basically the MU, the Memorandum of Understanding or of Misunderstanding. And now we find ourselves in this place that Israel led us to be in. Just the conversation in the United States is very clear. America lost the war. And now they're trying, of course, they lost the war. They're trying to impose some kind of conditions after they lost this war. And they're trying somehow to rewrite history. Trump doesn't want to be shamed. But the debate in Israel is completely different. And I think the Americans need to understand the Israelis could not care less about world economy, could not care less about Trump standing, whether he lose the election or win the election or the midterms. They couldn't care less about all of that. They're actually now plotting and talking about attacking a NATO country, Turkey. They're in full-fledged commitment to forever wars. And they're willing to go as far as, I mean, today we had this incredible news that came out. We already heard about it, whether it's in Haaretz and in the New York Times and others, that says they even recruited Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the guy that they called Hitler. Netanyahu himself called him Hitler. Bennett called him Hitler. They wanted to recruit him as president of Iran. They wanted this guy, who they said the most anti-Semite leader that wanted to destroy
Holocaust
Israel.
denier.
Holocaust, they wanted this guy to be the next president of Iran, working for them. This tells you something about the Israel mindset. The Israelis in this moment, there's a psychosis in Israel. They are drunk on impunity, on power, and they lust for destruction of the entire Middle East. So I think the more Americans understand how did Trump end it in that trap, the more they understand that they need to cut their losses and sign whatever deal. It's not going to be a beautiful deal. It's going to be a messy deal, but they need to cut that deal now before it's too late for everybody.
I keep hearing this thing that Trump wants to cut a deal. Trump wants this over, but he's escalating to de-escalate, to use a phrase that Americans like to use, which is a very strange phenomenon. And for those of you who have not read the Ahmadinejad piece, I'm going to ask Trita about it in a moment. This is the New York Times piece today from Ronan Bergman and Farnaz Fazi and a bunch of other reporters who say that the Israelis were cultivating Ahmadinejad for several years. They flew him out to Budapest for a fake climate change conference so they could make contact with him. He started wearing tailored suits. He got Botox. He trimmed his beard. This is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, man who denied the Holocaust and famously was quoted
again, right. They don't give a shit about any of that. They don't give a shit. The question is, can they bribe him? Can they intimidate him to doing what they want? They don't give a fuck about your morals or your values or whether you denied the Holocaust. Will you help Israel do their genocide now? Are you bribable? Are you controllable? That's all they care about.
Saying wipe Israel off the map, though, of course, many people dispute.
Mike, do you think this war was the biggest loss for America since World War II? No, that's Vietnam. The biggest military defeat the United States has suffered is the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir. The biggest defeat at a war is the Vietnam War. As far as strategically for America's position as a global hegemon, this is incredibly damaging because Vietnam was on, as much as I love Vietnam, I'm not trashing Vietnam, but that was a backwater. Whereas this is a core naval strait, and it directly impacts a large number of American proxies and puppet states, and is directly in control of global energy supplies. So this is a major strategic defeat. Damn, is this the biggest defeat ever? I mean, it depends on what the outcome is, but it certainly is damaging to U.S. position. Will the U.S. still be global, superpower? Yeah, but this is really bad.
Did that translation?
If you want to know the battle I'm talking about, this battle is famous because I think it's the biggest defeat the U.S. Marines have ever suffered. Did you hear Yanis Varoufakis and Mearsheimer talking about how this is far more significant than Vietnam, as Vietnam did not damage hegemony? I mean, yeah, that's what I was just saying, kind of.
He turns out to be the Israeli choice, not even the Trump choice, to replace the current Iranian government. Rami, before we go back to Iran, just a broader big picture look at the region. Iran responded again by hitting Gulf countries, again by hitting Jordan. A lot of these countries sent delegations to Ayatollah Khamenei's funeral. So a lot of people watching are like, what is going on in this region? Is it a love-hate relationship? Are they frenemies? What is the relationship right now between Iran and its Muslim majority neighbors, shall we say?
Well, I was in Jordan last week. I was there for 2.5 weeks working on a book, and I transited through Qatar on the way back. So I was constantly looking out my window of the airplane to see if there's any missiles. I didn't catch any. And in Jordan, there was very little reaction. People just got used to living in a quiet place. The reality, I think, Mehdi, to understand the bigger picture of what's going on, is that what we're witnessing in the immediate sense is a confrontation between the United States and Iran, and Israel is playing a role there, and Lebanon as well. The bigger picture is that the Iranians whose positions are supported by probably 80% of people across the entire Middle East. They're trying to end the colonial period. This is not just a short-term project. And when I say the colonial period, I mean, when you look at where are the three biggest places that resist and confront and challenge the United States and Israel. They're Lebanon, Iran, and Palestine. They're the three most active fronts. Why is that? Because they were the most devastated by their colonial encounters in many different forms going back the last couple of hundred years. So this is a long process. They'll reach an agreement in the short term about something, but the agreements are, you know, when I look at Trump, I see Wile E. Coyote, you know, the Roadrunner cartoon character, those of you who know. And Wile E. Coyote is getting bombs and putting up cement walls and dropping boulders, trying to catch the Roadrunner. And all of the things he does explode in his face. And this is Trump in action. And he doesn't know how to deal with this. And it's going to go on and on until his people restrain him. But bigger than that is the deeper picture of situation in the region. The Arab countries mostly are de-sovereign countries. They're independent, but they don't really have full sovereignty because any major decision any Arab country makes, trade deals, water sources, military sales, whatever, has to be approved by some patron. It used to be the British and the French. Now the Americans play a role, the Turks play a role, the Iranians play a role, sometimes the Russians occasionally, maybe the Chinese. There are no fully sovereign countries in the Arab region right now, unfortunately. Iran is showing what sovereignty really is all about. And we don't know.
The Israelis obviously don't like that.
Well, of course not, because
they don't want anyone to have sovereignty.
The Israelis and the Americans are the targets. This is the last colonial uprising in the entire world.
I think you may be the first person I've interviewed in my 20 years of interviewing.
I think the fascist acceleration have started this war and are fomenting chaos and economic collapse now because managing a global decline now and killing millions of people will be easier to manage rather than waiting for climate change to do it. I don't think they're doing that, man. I don't think they're trying to do a collapse. I don't think that's the strategy that they're pursuing. All right, everybody. Well, just want to remind you, make sure that you go and sign up for, if you are in the Los Angeles area, make sure you sign up for the DSA LA local convention. Make sure you go spam this shit. Go ahead, sign up, click it, go up. I want to start organizing IRL in the Southern California area so we can start pushing some of our shit. Make sure you, honest to God, I'm sorry you have to sign up. It's annoying, but please do hit that. We're gonna be pushing that in the future, not just for the event on Saturday. What else am I gonna do? Yeah, that'll be it. Thanks so much for hanging. There you go. You guys are the best. Here's the links. Alrighty. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for all the support. W stream. Things are looking great. And solidarity forever. I guess I'll send you over to Hassan. Why not? Probably gonna turn him on myself. All right, everybody. Stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. Socialism will win. You guys are the best. I think Vio's gonna be live tonight, is what she told me, but we'll see. All right, everybody. Solidarity forever. You guys are the best. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.